Chapter 7:14. After organizing all of the treasures that she was going to sell, Feng Yuxiang prepared to leave to find an auction house. Young master, I don't know when I will be back, but I will do my best to return as swiftly as possible. Wait, Feng. Take Xiaohua with you. Yuan suddenly said to her. Brother Yuan? Xiaohua looked at him with a questioning gaze. Although Feng is a peak spirit grandmaster, we're no longer in the lower heavens where spirit grandmaster is the peak. There are many spirit lords and even spirit kings in this world, and I want to make sure that nothing happens to her when she's out there. After all, she's carrying a lot of treasure which could attract bandits. Okay. Xiaohua nodded her head despite knowing very well that nobody could harm Feng Yuxiang, who is a divine beast, as she wanted Yuan to be free of worries. You don't have to worry about me. I won't be going anywhere until you return. Yuan said to them. See you later, brother Yuan. Stay safe, young master. I should be saying that to you. Yuan smiled as he watched them leave the hotel. After they left, Yuan retrieved the 10,000 Ghost Blades technique and started studying it. Chapter 7:15. Can you show me what you're trying to sell? Gu Xiaolan asked them after a moment of silence. Feng Yuxiang nodded and retrieved a treasure from her storage ring before placing it on the round table before them. This. Gu Xiaolan's body trembled with shock upon seeing the treasure, and her eyes were wide with disbelief. Is this what I think it is? Gu Xiaolan had to swallow her nervousness a couple of times before she could utter any words. The House of Riches has existed for thousands of years, and being one of the most famous auction houses in this world, they have dealt with countless valuable and priceless treasures. Gu Xiaolan, while having worked at the House of Riches for only 50 years, has seen her fair share of valuable treasures, so there were not many treasures out that could excite her, much less shock her to such an extent. However, seeing Feng Yuxiang's treasure had shocked her so much that she forgot her position as the manager of the auction house. If you think this is the scale belonging to a flood dragon, then you are correct. Feng Yuxiang smiled. Chapter 7:16. I will go ahead and put all of these treasures on the priority sales list if you don't have anything else for me. If you wish to receive updates regarding the sales or have any other questions, you may visit our auction house at any time of the day and we'll assist you. Gu Xiaolan said. I look forward to the results. Feng Yuxiang stood up and left the place shortly after, leaving behind her treasures for the auction house to sell. That woman. Do you think she's part of the Gu family? Xiaohua asked after they left. Who knows? Gu is a very common surname, but the fact that she's working as the manager for a place like House of Riches suggests that she comes from a prestigious background. Feng Yuxiang said. Anyways, we have a week to spare. Do you have anything you want to do? Xiaohua shook her head. Then I will go shopping. I need to restock medicine so the young master can continue to temper his body. You don't have to follow me if you don't want to. I will be fine by myself. Brother Yuan told me to protect you, so that is what I will do. Feng Yuxiang shrugged nonchalantly. As you wish. Alright, I will spread this information to my associates. Gu Xiaolan nodded. Chapter 7:17. A beautiful woman who wears seductive red robes and a little girl? They sound just like the esteemed guest with the flood dragon scale. Gu Xiaolan thought about Feng Yuxiang and Xiaohua after hearing their description. However, she didn't think for a second that it could actually be them. After all, how could someone that can sell a flood dragon scale be bandits? A single flood dragon scale is already worth more than what the entire Gu family in the lower heavens own. There was simply no reason why they would rob the Gu family. Furthermore, neither Feng Yuxiang or Xiaohua looked like bandits. They were simply too high-class and noble to do something so lowly. Now let's move on to the flood dragon scale. Do you know the identity of the seller? If our Gu family can start a connection with them, that would be great. The patriarch said. Gu Xiaolan shook her head. Unfortunately, they didn't provide me with their identity, and I didn't dare to ask them since they seem to prefer staying anonymous. That's really unfortunate indeed. Then can you tell me a little more about your encounter with them? Gu Xiaolan nodded and proceeded to recall her conversation with them at the auction house. If this woman is really as you describe, her master must be an extraordinary individual. The woman who did most of the talking should be a peak spirit grandmaster. The little girl beside her was at least spirit lord, but I am not certain since she hid her aura. It was a really weird encounter. Gu Xiaolan said. If you cannot see her aura, how are you so sure that she's at least spirit lord? Don't be mistaken, Phoenix. I'm only doing this for Brother Yuan. Xiaohua quickly said. She added a second later, and I prefer Operation Help Brother Yuan. That's the spirit. Feng Yuxiang chuckled. Chapter 7:18. What do you want me to do with this? Xiao Hua lifted the storage pouch Feng Yuxiang gave her. Oh, there's nothing but spirit stones inside. You can help me, the young master, buy medicine for his body temperament. Feng Yuxiang replied. You want me to go shopping with you? Xiao Hua mumbled. Feng Yuxiang pondered for a moment before speaking. How about this? Let's have a rematch. I lost the previous one because you technically cheated by going to the upper heavens. This time, whoever purchases the most treasures will win. That's not fair. Xiao Hua immediately frowned. You have already spent 3 days buying many treasures. Don't worry, I won't count those. I will also start from scratch and I will limit my budget to your budget as well. How does that sound? That's fair, right? I guess, but let me be really clear this time. You are not allowed to go to the upper heavens to purchase treasures. And the treasures purchased must be for body tempering. I want. Good. Then I will meet you at the House of Riches in 4 days, when the Flood Dragon scale is going to be auctioned off. May the best shopper win. After that, Feng Yuxiang and Xiao Hua went their separate ways, but they both had the same objective, to acquire as many treasures as possible. Meanwhile, back at the hotel, Chu Liuxiang came out of her room after a week of studying her techniques. How's your progress? Yuan asked her. I managed to learn one of the techniques, but the other one might take a little bit longer. Despite both being heaven-ranked techniques, the Glacial Ice Dragon is much more complex. However, even if I learn both skills, I won't be able to use either of them at my cultivation. I simply don't have enough qi. Thank you. The food appeared shortly after and they began eating. While they ate, Yuan overheard the conversation of a few customers regarding an upcoming and unprecedented auction for a priceless treasure, which piqued his interest. Chapter 7:19. I heard the House of Riches in Bright Night City is preparing for their biggest auction since their creation. Really? What are they selling this time? It's a treasure called Flood Dragon's Scale. What the heck is that? But since it has the word dragon in its name, it must be very valuable. According to the rumors, the Flood Dragon Scale can increase a cultivator's innate talent if they have water spirit veins. What? Increasing one's innate talent. That's a priceless treasure. Indeed. Pretty much every powerhouse is going to participate in the auction. Good heavens. It's going to be a bloodbath. I can't even imagine how much money it will sell for. It's definitely going to be an amount that we cannot even dream to have. After hearing this conversation, Yuan turned to look at Chu Liuxiang and said, Lulu, this Flood Dragon Scale is perfect for you. Even though you have ice spiritual veins, it should still work on you since your ice element is just a superior version of the water element. You're going to participate in this auction? It sounds very expensive. Chu Liuxiang said. Yuan showed his spatial ring with a smile on his face. I have plenty of money. Neither Yuan nor Chu Liuxiang was aware of the Flood Dragon Scale's true value. If they did, they wouldn't even think about trying to participate in the auction. I have almost 20,000 spirit stones. That's worth 200 million gold coins. Surely that's more than enough to buy this treasure, right? Even a heaven-grade treasure is only worth at most 50 million. Yuan said. It means that only those invited and influential enough are allowed to participate in the auction. After all, an auction of this significance will attract too many people, so they are only limiting it to people that are actually wealthy enough to participate. I see. That makes sense. Thank you. Chapter 7:20. Now that he knew where to go, Yuan and the others made their way to the House of Riches. However, there were so many pedestrians out in the street that it made walking extremely difficult and bothersome. Why are there so many people? Since the auction is exclusive, they have no business crowding up the streets. Chu Liuxiang sighed. They probably want to meet some of the powerhouses that came here for the auction. It's really rare for them to appear in public like this, much less this many at once, so they want to use this chance to change their fate. They might never get another chance after all. Lan Yingying said. That makes a lot of sense. Chu Liuxiang mumbled. Let's fly since we won't be able to go anywhere like it. Yuan suggested. A few moments later, Yuan carried Chu Liuxiang into the air while Lan Yingying followed him. Wow. What young experts. The pedestrians were awed when they saw Yuan and Lan Yingying flying without any flying treasures, meaning they were spirit grandmasters and above. Sometime later, Yuan arrived at the House of Riches, which was incredibly easy to spot due to how many experts were gathered there. Who is that? Do you recognize him, Sect Master Jing? No, I don't. Chapter 7:21. How did you acquire it? Chu Liuxiang asked out of curiosity. Well, it started when we met this man in front of a cave. Yuan proceeded to recall his experience with the demonic spider. That's very tragic. Chu Liuxiang sighed in a dispirited voice after hearing the story. Hearing your story makes me wonder. Does it hurt more for the parents to lose their children, or does it hurt more for the children when they lose their parents? I don't think we can gauge pain. Yuan shook his head. Yuan, have you ever thought about meeting your parents? Your biological parents, I mean. Not really. I never had the time to worry about such things either. They abandoned me for a reason, and there's no point thinking about it since it's already happened. You're not even slightest curious why they abandoned you? I sometimes wonder why they really abandoned me. Chu Liuxiang sighed again and she continued, unfortunately, we might never be able to find the answer even if we wanted to ask them. For all we know, they could be dead right now. Even if they're not, it's almost impossible to look for them. Yuan smiled bitterly and said, let's stop thinking about such depressing things. Your hair will turn white from stress. Alright, I'm going to study my techniques. Call me when it's time to go. Chu Liuxiang said as she retrieved her techniques and began reading them. About an hour later, they arrive at the location of the auction. It was in a nearby city, where there was a massive building that could hold thousands of guests with ease. This building was built for important meetings for the 7 legacy families, the 7 spirit academies, among other powerful backgrounds, but it will be used as an auction house just for the Flood Dragon scale. Welcome to the Royal Hall, esteemed guests. Gu Xiaolan said to them when they arrived. Chapter 722. Here are the VIP seats, esteemed guests. I have to prepare for the auction, so I will excuse myself now. Gu Xiaolan said to Feng Yuxiang after showing her the best seats in the house. Feng Yuxiang and Xiao Hua took a seat shortly after, and their presence immediately attracted the gazes of the people that were already there, all of whom were considered VIP, such as the 7 legacy families and the 7 spirit academies. Excuse me, beautiful fairy. I know this is audacious of me, but I do not recognize you. Please spare me of this guilt by telling me your name. A handsome man sitting 2 seats away from them suddenly asked Feng Yuxiang with this charming smile. But before Feng Yuxiang could respond, he continued to speak. Oh, how disrespectful of me. I am the sect master of the Universal Music Academy, Sun Hao. Unfortunately, Feng Yuxiang didn't even bother to spare him a single word, much less her name. Some of the people there began laughing in a suppressed manner when they saw Sun Hao's flushed face and embarrassed expression. To dare disrespect one of 7 Spirit Academy sect masters in such a manner, the people there became even more interested in Feng Yuxiang's identity. Aren't those 2? Wang Xiuying recognized Feng Yuxiang and Xiao Hua. She remembered seeing them with Yuan at the Mystic Realm. And while it was only for a brief moment, their attractive appearances made it easy for her to remember. 200,000 spirit stones. In just a few minutes, the highest bid reached 400,000 spirit stones, which was a record in the history of all auction houses in the spirit heaven, shattering the previous record by over 100,000 spirit stones. Chapter 723. 400,000 spirit stones, 410,000 spirit stones, 420,000 spirit stones. Even though the auction is already at 400,000 spirit stones, which is worth 4 billion gold, the atmosphere there did not quiet down and remained as tense as ever. In fact, it was only getting more tense. 450,000 spirit stones. 470,000 spirit stones. 500,000 spirit stones. When the spirit stones reached 500,000 spirit stones, someone there suddenly increased the bid significantly. 1 million spirit stones. Many bidders there turned to look at the person who just spoke with raised eyebrows. While nobody there doubted for a second that the bid wouldn't reach that price point, they didn't want such an exciting auction to end so early. After all, they could simply bid their maximum budget at one go and call it a day. However, that would be boring, and such actions are frowned upon in auctions, sort of like an unspoken rule. Slow down, Bai Ning. I know you want the Flood Dragon scale very badly, but let's enjoy ourselves in this unprecedented event that might never happen again. Furthermore, you wouldn't want the auction to end in an instant, do you? This might be your last chance looking at the Flood Dragon scale so closely after all. Someone there called out the individual, publicly shaming him. Yes, Chem? Wait a second. I can sense Feng Feng and Xiao Hua's presence nearby. I think they're close by. Yuan suddenly said. Chapter 724. Really? Then do you know where they are? Chu Liuxiang asked. Not exactly. I know they're nearby but I don't know where they are. Hold on, let me ask them. Feng Feng? Xiaohua. Are you two also at the Flood Dragon Scale auction? Yuan asked them through their connection. Why, young master? Are you also at the auction? Feng Yuxiang's surprised voice resounded, almost as though she wasn't aware until he spoke to her. Yes, I decided to participate in the auction when I heard about it, but alas, I had no chance against these powerful families and sections. And before you tell me that I wasn't supposed to leave the hotel, I left a note behind before we left. Yuan said. Don't worry, I'm not mad at you for leaving. Feng Yuxiang chuckled. Anyways, now that the auction has ended, let's meet up. Wait a minute, young master. I still have a few treasures to sell, so we cannot meet up just yet. If you want, you can return to the hotel first. Feng Yuxiang quickly made up an excuse so that she wouldn't expose herself for selling the Flood Dragon Scale. Is that so? Do you know how long it will take? If it's not too long, we can wait for you in our hotel at Bright Night City. Yuan then said. It shouldn't take too long. We should be finished by the end of today or tomorrow. I understand. Then we'll wait for you at Bright Night City. Yuan proceeded to give her the name of their hotel. They're almost finished selling the treasures, so we're going to wait for them in our hotel at Bright Night City. Yuan explained the situation to Chu Liuxiang and Lan Yingying. Wait a second. Did you just say, Yuan? She asked for confirmation. Yes. Do you know him? Senior Nye nodded. Chapter 725. No, I don't know him. I only heard about his name from someone else, that's all. Gu Xiaolan denied knowing about Yuan after snapping out of her daze. Anyways, raise your Flood Dragon Scale. Please enjoy. I have another business to attend to, so if you'll excuse me. If you have any questions, you can always come back here to find me. After taking one last look at the Flood Dragon Scale, Gu Xiaolan handed it to Senior Nye. Thank you. Senior Nye accepted the treasure with trembling hands, feeling like a child on his birthday. Once Senior Nye left the place, Gu Xiaolan took a seat on the couch and began pondering profusely. A beautiful woman who likes to wear revealing red clothes. A little girl with a profound aura. The mastermind Yuan. And last but not least, they were in the lower heavens not long ago. There is too much evidence for it to be just a coincidence. But I don't get it. Why would she rob the Gu family? Clearly they have a lot of money, so they didn't steal because they needed the money. Perhaps they have a grudge with the Gu family? Did those idiots offend them somehow? Gu Xiaolan had no doubt that the Gu family in the lower heavens were capable of offending someone like Feng Yuxiang and her group. What should I do now that I have this information? Should I just tell the patriarch? He might forgive them if I tell him about the Flood Dragon Scale, but I also don't have any evidence. However, if I tell him and he still wants to hunt them, that would also be problematic. The fact that they were just in the lower heaven alongside the Flood Dragon Scale, there's a good chance that they are actually from the upper heavens. As for why they decided to come down, heaven knows. Gu Xiaolan proceeded to spend the rest of the day pondering. Are you sure you want to give this to me, to Lulu? It's worth at least 15 million spirit stones. Yuan hesitated to accept the treasure due to its immense value. Of course. I have no use for it anyway. Feng Yuxiang nodded. Chapter 726. Seeing the Flood Dragon Scale, Yuan suddenly realized something. Wait a minute. Since a Flood Dragon has multiple scales, does this mean you were the one who sold that scale at the auction today? Feng Feng? Feng Yuxiang's face immediately turned stiff after hearing his words. No, I wasn't involved in the auction today. She subconsciously responded. It was just a coincidence that they were selling a Flood Dragon Scale. Yuan nodded, if you say so. Anyways, I am going to give this to Lulu. Yuan went to knock on Chu Luxiang's door and Feng Yuxiang sighed in relief when he didn't continue questioning her. What's up? Chu Liuxiang stopped her cultivation to open the door. I have a surprise for you. Yuan said with a mysterious smile. A surprise for me? What is it? Her eyes flickered with anticipation. Here. Yuan showed her the small box. Chu Liuxiang raised her eyebrows when she saw this box, and she became speechless for a good moment. Did you get me an engagement ring? She suddenly asked. And not exactly? Yuan said, dumbfounded by her response. She chuckled. I'm just joking with you. What's inside? Let me see. Chu Liuxiang opened the box a moment later, and her eyes widened with surprise when she saw what was in it. Is this what I think it is? She mumbled in a low voice. Chapter 727. What do I need to do? Yuan resolved himself after hearing that he could help Chu Liuxiang. Feng Yuxiang retrieved another box from her spatial ring and handed it to him. Open it. Yuan nodded and opened the box, and to his surprise there was a scale inside. However, it was not the Flood Dragon scale. This scale was bright red and emitting a fiery aura that made Yuan feel like his face was before an open oven that had its temperature maxed. What is this? Yuan looked at Feng Yuxiang as the hot air continued blowing into his face. That's an Inferno Dragon scale. They're just like the Flood Dragon but with a fire element. The Flood Dragon and the Inferno Dragon are like yin and yang, with the Flood Dragon being yin and the Inferno Dragon being yang. Despite their different element that normally opposes each other, you can actually cultivate them together. If you cultivate the Inferno Dragon scale while she cultivates the Flood Dragon scale, you can ease each other's pain. However, since she has already absorbed a pill that enhances her effects, you will also have to do the same in order for this to work. It's going to be incredibly painful, young master. Do you still want to do it? I will do it. He immediately nodded. Not only will this benefit Chu Liuxiang, but it will also benefit him. Also, you should know that the Inferno Dragon scale will only affect those with fire spiritual veins. If you do not have such veins, you won't benefit from it. Feng Yuxiang suddenly said, leaving Yuan speechless. Chapter 728. Yuan and Chu Liuxiang logged off the game shortly after they finished absorbing the dragon scales. What the? The bed is wet. Chu Liuxiang sat up in a surprised manner after feeling a wet sensation on her back, wondering if they'd pissed themselves by accident. However, she quickly realized that it wasn't the bed that was wet, it was her pajamas, and her body was also soaked in sweat as well. Did absorbing the treasure and make us sweat? Yuan wondered out loud. It's possible, since the sensation of pain we felt was so incredibly real that it affected our real body. Chu Liuxiang said. I'm going to wash up. Chu Liuxiang said, and she continued, you can join me whenever. I am going to change the bed sheets before I go. Yuan said. Chu Liuxiang entered the bathroom a moment later while Yuan replaced the bed sheets with new ones before joining Chu Liuxiang in the bathroom. Let me wash your back. Chu Liuxiang said to him. Thank you. No, I should be thanking you. If you didn't help me with the Flood Dragon scale today, I would have not been able to absorb it, and I would have wasted a very precious treasure. She sighed. I'd gladly do it again if it's for you. Yuan smiled. Chu Liuxiang suddenly turned silent. You know, if you say stuff like that, it makes me want to embrace you, she suddenly said. Yuan began blushing when he heard words, which reminded his experience with Meishio. After a moment of silence, Chu Liuxiang said, by the way, I have decided to visit my parents tomorrow. I want to tell them my feelings as soon as possible and get it out of my chest. Do you want me to come with you? Yuan then asked. No, I will go alone. However, if I don't return, you think they'll force you to stay? I don't need to think about it. There's a very good chance that they won't let me return after I tell them my feelings, but who knows, a miracle could happen. Don't worry, if they don't let you leave, I will take you back myself as long as you want me to. I want to return to your side. Chu Liuxiang said. That's all I need to know. Yuan smiled. After they finished washing, they went downstairs to see if Meishio needed help with preparing dinner. Looks like you had a breakthrough. Congratulations. Yuan said to her when he noticed a chance in her aura. Thank you. We participated in an auction today. I wanted to invite you, but I didn't want to disturb your cultivation. What did you buy? She then asked. Nothing. The treasure being sold was too expensive for us. It sold for 20 million spirit stones, which is about 200 billion gold coins. Meixius' eyes widened with surprise. 200 billion? That's a lot of money. What was sold? A treasure called Flood Dragon Scale. It belongs to a powerful magical beast from the upper heavens. Yuan recalled the auction for Meishio. By the way, Feng Feng also happened to have a Flood Dragon Scale, and she gave it to Lulu, who has water spiritual veins, allowing her to improve her innate talent. Sometime later, Meishio said, since I want breakthrough for a while, I can start playing with you again. That sounds good. Yuan nodded. Once dinner was ready, everybody sat around the dinner table. Yuan, I am going to ascend to spirit heaven tomorrow. Where should I meet you? Wang Ming asked him as they ate. Once you ascend the stairway to heaven, you will be transported to this square. You can just wait for me there and I will come pick you up. We can visit the myriad of techniques afterward to get you some new techniques. Yuan said. Okay. Anyone else also ascending tomorrow? Yuan then asked the others. 4 other people raised their hands and they were Wang Bingbing, Shirlang, Hong Xiuquan and Li Jinxi. What about the 2 of you? Yuan asked Shimurong and Wu Zhao. I will go next week, said Shimurong. Me too. All right. Yuan nodded. Since we're all going, we might as well ascend together. Wang suggested a moment later and they all agreed. Then we'll all meet up after morning practice. I will meet you guys sometime at noon since we're a couple of hours away from that place. Yuan said. Take your time. Wang Ming nodded. After cleaning up, everyone returned to their room. The following morning, Yuan and Chu Liuxiang made their journey back to Minli with everyone else. Aren't you going to visit your parents today? Yuan asked Chu Liuxiang before they left. I will do that after we meet up with Meishio in the other city, she said. Many hours later, they arrived at the hotel, and Minli was casually sipping tea in the living room. Welcome back. How was the auction? Minli said to them. It was crazy. We didn't manage to buy the treasure, by the way. Yuan said with a smile. That's unfortunate. Congratulations on the breakthrough, though. Thank you. It happened only an hour ago, so you returned at the perfect time. What are our plans now? Minli then asked. I am going to meet with a few friends back at the city before this one. We still have to pick up Meishio there before we can go anywhere. When do we leave? We'll leave now if you're ready. I am. Minli nodded. Great. Then let's go. After checking out of the hotel, they left the city. Half an hour later, they returned to their original location and met up with Meishio, who was still living inside their old hotel. I am going to meet up with a few of my friends now. You guys can wait here since I won't be gone for long. Yuan said to them. I am going to visit my parents now. Chu Liuxiang said. Okay. If you don't return by tomorrow, I will be giving the Chu family a visit. Yuan nodded. Chu Liuxiang logged off the game and began making her way to the upper levels of the Dragon Spiral Mountain, where her Chu family was located. Chapter 729. After Chu Liuxiang logged off, Yuan prepared to meet with Wang Ming and the others. Young master, what about us? Feng Yuxiang asked him. It's going to be crowded, so it would be better if you stayed here as well. Yuan said. I can just enter your body if it's crowded. She said. All right, you can do that. Well, it's up to you. Feng Yuxiang didn't say anything else and entered his body. Xiaohua also did the same since she'd rather not stay behind while Feng Yuxiang went with him. Do you want to come as well? Yuan asked Meishio. Yes. All right. We should be back by tonight. Yuan said to Minli, You don't need to worry about me. Even though I just had a breakthrough, cultivation never ends, she said with a smile. Yuan nodded, and he left the hotel with Meishio shortly after to meet up with Wang Ming and the others. Sometime later, they arrived at the square where people that leave the stairway to heaven gather, and sure enough, there were still new players that had decided to ascend from the lower heavens appearing in the square every few minutes. Do you see them? Yuan asked Meishio as they walked around the massive square that was also crowded with people. No. I think that's them over there. Meishio pointed at a certain group of individuals, and these people appeared to be in a fight. Are they fighting? Yuan was shocked to see this. He immediately rushed to them, but he quickly realized that it was a misunderstanding and that they were just sparring with each other. What are you guys doing, sparring with each other in the middle of a city? Yuan asked them with a helpless look on his face. Just how much do they love training? They were like a bunch of addicts that cannot stop training or they'll die. Ichim? Oh, you're finally here. We got bored of waiting, so we started sparring with each other. Wang Ming said with a smile on his face. I told you that I would come at noon, right? Why didn't you just do something else till then? Hell, you could have trained in the field at home. That won't do. We want last-a-minute sparring with Li Jinxi outside. However, we can defeat her with ease in. Wang Ming laughed out loud. Yuan raised his eyebrows and turned to look at Li Jinxi, who was sitting on the ground not far away, seemingly exhausted. You don't get to see such a sight often, right? Wang Ming chuckled. I guess so. Yuan nodded in a dazed manner. Anyways, now that I am here, let's head to the myriad of techniques. Yuan said to them a moment later. Once they were prepared, the group began following Yuan. So you're all spirit warriors, huh? Yuan noticed their aura. We were only spirit apprentices not long ago. Most of us were below 4th level since we didn't play much then. Shirlang said. How did you all level up this fast? Yuan was curious. We purchased a lot of treasures with real money. Wang Ming said without a shred of shame on his face. It was quite expensive, you know? It took us almost 100 million each to reach Spirit Warrior. Yuan shook his head with a smile and said, Spirit Warrior is just the beginning. Although there is nothing wrong with paying for your level since everybody does it in this world as well, in the form of buying treasures to assist their cultivation, don't expect that it will be as effective in the future. It will become super expensive really quickly. We know. We just needed to boost ourselves so that we're not completely behind. Wang Bingbing said. Sometime later they arrived at the myriad of techniques. Once they entered the store, someone checked their destiny, and the divine crystal of heavenly fortune deemed them all to have a minor destiny. Do you guys have any techniques that you want in mind? If not, we can head to the 4th floor where all of the heaven-ranked techniques are located. Heaven-ranked techniques? Aren't they going to be really expensive? Wang Bingbing asked. Normally, but I can get them for free since I am part of the faction that runs this place. Yuan said. What? If that's the case, let us join too. Where do we go to sign up? Wang Ming said in an excited voice. You don't exactly sign up for it, and I was offered to join by someone in the upper heavens. I don't think they exist in this world. Yuan shook his head. So you've been to the upper heavens already? Shi Lang looked at him with a surprised face. Not exactly. The place we met was in a different dimension that didn't exist within the 9 heavens, so it wasn't like I went up there to speak with them. Though I will speak with them the next chance I get and see if you guys can join as well. Yuan said. That's good enough for me. Wang Ming nodded. After arriving at the 4th floor, Wang Ming and the others scattered to look for a technique of their suiting. What about you, Meishio? Yuan asked her, who stayed behind with him. You only have a movement technique, right? Why don't you find a new technique, one that you can use to protect yourself? I will go look around. Meishio nodded and went to look for a technique as well. While Yuan waited, he suddenly heard a voice resound in his head. Yuan, come meet me as soon as possible. Senior Bai. Yuan immediately recognized his calming voice, but it sounded urgent. After looking for Meishio and letting her know that he will be gone for a bit, Yuan went to seek Senior Bai in his dimension. A few minutes later, he entered Senior Bai's dimension and flew towards the platform they usually met at, and sure enough, Senior Bai was standing there with a pondering expression on his face as he stared at the horizon. Chapter 730. Senior Bai, it's been a while. Yuan greeted him with a bow once they landed on the platform. Senior Bai turned around to face him with a smile that looked slightly forced. The passage of time is different for someone like me, and time feels slower than in reality. One day might feel like one day to you, but for someone like me, one day feels like a few minutes. Did something happen? You seem worried. Yuan decided to ask him. Take a seat. Senior Bai pointed at the chair. Yuan nodded and they sat down a moment later. Meanwhile, Chu Liuxiang had just arrived at the Chu family's household. This place looks gloomier than it does in my memories. Chu Liuxiang sighed inwardly as she approached the massive steel gate that surrounded the Chu family's territory. After pressing the call button on the device at the gates, she waited for someone from the inside to answer it. Hello, this is the Chu family. Who am I speaking with? A feminine voice resounded a moment later. It's me. Hurry up and open the door so I can speak with my parents. Chu Liuxiang said out loud. Why, young lady? Please wait a minute while I call a ride for you. The person on the other side immediately recognized her just by her voice alone. The gates immediately opened, and Chu Liuxiang entered into their territory without saying anything else, but she didn't go any further as the actual building was a couple of miles away from the gates. After 2 minutes of waiting, a limousine pulled up beside her, and an old woman came out of the car to open the door for her. Welcome back, young lady. The old woman bowed to her. Am not back. Chu Liuxiang casually responded. The old woman didn't have any response for such words, so she decided to remain silent. Sometime later, they arrived in front of this massive mansion that looked more like a castle than a house a couple of miles away from the gates. Welcome home, young lady. 2 rows of servants were already prepared to welcome her back at the front door. Once they entered the building, Chu Liuxiang could see Sebastian standing not far away. Young lady, the masters are waiting for you in the family hall, he said to her. Chu Liuxiang nodded silently and made her way to this family hall with Sebastian and the old woman following her from behind. We will be waiting outside, Sebastian said to her once they arrived outside the room. Chu Liuxiang opened the door and entered the room with a resolute expression on her face. The moment she entered the room, she could see 2 individuals, a handsome middle-aged man and a beautiful woman who didn't look any older than her 20s. These 2 individuals were clearly her parents. Her father, Chu Shijian, and her mother, Chu Shufan. Looks like you have finally decided to listen to your parents and return to the family. I'm relieved, Chu Shijin said to her, assuming that she had agreed to return to the family. Unfortunately, they are only moments away from immense disappointment. I'm sorry to tell you this, father, but I did not come back here because I want to return to the family, Chu Liuxiang said with a stern expression on her face. Then why are you here? As expected, Chu Shijin immediately became displeased after hearing her words. I am here to tell you my feelings and plan. Chu Liuxiang proceeded to take a long and deep breath before continuing. I want to start a family with Yuan, so I cannot return to this family. You what? Both of her parents exclaimed in a shocked voice at the same time. That's outrageous, Chu Shijin said. And he continued, you only knew that man for a few years in an orphanage when you were still a child. There's no way that you actually like him. You're confused right now, my dear. Your father is right, Liuxiang. You might think that you're feeling love, but that is not the case. I know because I was once in your shoes. However, once I grew up and understood the world more, I realized that love I felt was merely an illusion that will quickly go away once you understand your own feelings more. Her mother also gave her options on the matter. You're wrong, father, mother. I know my feelings very well. I love him and I want to be with him for the rest of my life. Nobody in this world makes me feel the way he does. I feel safe when I am with him and I am never bored when I am with him no matter what mundane things we do. Chu Liuxiang refuted their claims. Why are you not happy for me? Yuan is not only very talented, he's also destined for great things. I know you want me to marry into an influential family, but Yuan will surpass every single one of these families that you're planning to match with me. Hell, he even has the 6 spiritual families' approval and backing. That alone should qualify him as my husband. Chu Shijin shook his head and said, this world is not just about one's backing, dear. Even if it is, he only has the 6 spiritual families' backing. While the 6 spiritual families are, without a doubt, a force to be reckoned with, they are nothing more than cowards that lived the last few thousands of years in hiding, in fear. Furthermore, there is nothing to gain from befriending them. Chu Liuxiang closed her eyes and sighed in a dispirited voice. In the end, it's all about profits, huh? Yuan. He had to endure a decade of abuse in the Yu family because they wanted to profit off him. I thought my family was better than that, but alas, it appears that you're not that different from the Yu family after all. Chapter 731. Bang. Chu Shijin suddenly slammed his fist into his chair rest after hearing Chu Liuxiang's words that compared them to the Yu family, his face fuming with anger. How dare you compare us to that disgraceful place? We're nothing like the Yu family. Not only did we treat you like a princess, but we also exhausted countless resources into you just so that you can be at where you are today. If we didn't save you from that orphanage, God knows where you would be right now. And I am supposed to be grateful for that? Did you forget why you adopted me in the first place? If it were not for my cultivation talents, you wouldn't even have batted an eye at me. If you did not plan on profiting off me by selling me to some family that I don't want to be with, you wouldn't have treated me so nicely. Tell me that I am wrong, father. Chu Liuxiang argued back. Although Chu Liuxiang and her father often argued with each other, it never became this serious, and they would end up joking with each other at the end. By now, Chu Shijin's entire body was trembling from anger. If his eyes could produce fire, it would be spewing them by now. Calm down. Chu Shufan said in a soothing voice as she placed her hand onto his fist. Although Shed managed to stop his shaking, his face was still twisted in anger. She then looked at Chu Liuxiang and spoke. Liuxiang, you claim that you love him, but that is just your words and not your actual feelings. That is my actual feelings. Chu Liuxiang interrupted. And she continued, I also doubted my feelings for him at first, but that's why I went to find him. The moment I saw his face, even though it has been over 10 years since I last saw him, I knew at that very moment that I really loved him. However, I continued to follow him to verify my feelings for him, and every single day I spent with him, my conviction grew stronger and stronger. Chu Shufan shook her head and sighed. You don't have to say anything else, Liuxiang. You're going to forget about him once you join a real family, one that we are sure will perfectly suit you. I refuse. Chu Liuxiang stood her ground. Unfortunately, this isn't a matter where you have a choice. Until we find you a family, we forbid you from leaving the garden, your home. Hearing her mother's words, Chu Liuxiang released her spirit master cultivation base. What do you think you're doing? Are you threatening us? Did you already forget that you're not the only spirit master in this household? Chu Shufan said as she released her aura, which was even more powerful than Chu Liuxiang's aura. Chu Liuxiang gritted her teeth, as she was aware that she wouldn't be able to defeat her parents in her current state. However, Chu Shufan suddenly withdrew her aura and said in a loud voice, "Senior Qi, please take her back to the garden for us." What did you just say? Chu Luxiang's eyes widened with shock when she heard the name Senior Qi. A figure appeared before Chu Liuxiang the next moment, and she was an extremely beautiful woman that looked only slightly older than Chu Liuxiang. She had long black hair that flowed down her back until it reached her round buttocks. Her cleavage was also quite impressive in the way that it looked completely flawless no matter which angle one looked from. She was also wearing traditional robes that made her look like a cultivator at glance, and if she were to stand beside the cultivators inside Cultivation Online, one would not be able to tell any difference between them whether it was their demeanor or aura. "Master, what are you doing here? I thought you had some important matters and could not return for many years." Chu Liuxiang muttered in a low voice. This woman Chu Liuxiang called Master was actually her teacher, who taught her everything about cultivation. "I heard that you were causing trouble again, so I decided to come back. Come with me. Let's talk about it," Senior Qi said to her, and she began walking towards the door without looking back to see if Chu Liuxiang would follow her. Chu Liuxiang glared at her parents for a moment before following Senior Qi, leaving the scene shortly after. Sometime later, Chu Liuxiang followed Senior Qi to this large garden behind the Chu family's household, and there was even an immortal cave beside a clear pond. "Sit down." Senior Qi suddenly stopped walking in front of the pond and said without turning back. Chu Liuxiang didn't say anything and obediently took a seat C-style on the soft ground. "Tell me everything that has happened. Start from when you left the family," Senior Qi then said as she continued to stare into the pond. Chu Liuxiang nodded and began recalling her experience to Senior Qi. Meanwhile, inside Cultivation Online, Yuan and Senior Bai just sat down. "Do you know of a place called the Nine Heavens Eternal Grotto?" Senior Bai suddenly asked him after a moment of awkward silence. "No, I do not." Yuan quickly shook his head. "It's one of the most dangerous places in the Nine Heavens that has existed even before the primordial era. However, it's not dangerous in the way you're probably thinking. The reason it's so dangerous is because of the criminals that are imprisoned there." "Criminals?" Yuan raised his eyebrows. "Yes, incredibly dangerous criminals that are also immortals that cannot be destroyed through normal means, hence why they were tossed inside the Nine Heavens Eternal Grotto for all eternity. The Nine Heavens Eternal Grotto is a place where once someone enters, they will not be able to escape no matter if they are immortal or god. However, that is only from the inside, meaning it can still be opened from the outside." I don't like where this is going," Yuan said with a frown on his face. Chapter 732. If you're thinking that someone had opened the Nine Heavens Eternal Grotto, then you're right, unfortunately. Senior Bai sighed. "Shouldn't there be someone to guard that place? It would be disastrous if the criminals inside escaped, or am I wrong?" Yuan asked. "No, you're right. However, there are people guarding the grotto. In fact, there are at least a dozen immortals guarding that place around the clock, and there hasn't been a single moment when the grotto isn't guarded since the primordial era." "Then how did someone open the grotto?" "Simple. Someone managed to kill the guards and open the grotto." "So all of the criminals inside are free now?" Yuan then asked. "No, not all, which is the most fortunate part in all of this. Although the perpetrator managed to open the grotto, it was only for a brief moment, as the guards were able to call for backup before they died. However, that brief moment had allowed 4 incredibly dangerous criminals to escape. The entire upper heavens are on the lookout for these criminals right now, but of the criminals have been caught yet." Hearing his words, Yuan sighed. "Since you called me here, do you want me to capture these criminals or something?" Senior Bai looked at him with wide eyes. After a moment of silence, he burst out laughing. "Of course not. You're only a spirit lord while these criminals are all immortals that have existed since the primordial era. You will die before you can even touch them." "Then why did you call me here?" Yuan raised his eyebrows. "I just wanted to warn you about the current situation in the upper heavens, and although very unlikely, these criminals could escape to the lower heavens." Senior Bai said. "Even if they escape to the lower heavens, how will I be able to identify them when I don't even know them?" Yuan then asked. Senior Bai retrieved a red crystal and handed it to him. "All criminals in the grotto have a seal in their soul that cannot be removed, and as long as they're within 1 mile of this crystal, it will begin reacting to its seal. That's how you know there's a criminal nearby." Senior Bai said. "If that happens, I want you to report it to me so that we can come to you. Don't even think about confronting these people by yourself. You'll without a doubt die." Yuan nodded. I'm not that reckless. Erase a jade slip that you can use to contact me. The moment you activate it using your spiritual energy, it will notify me and I will come to you. However, since I am in the upper heavens, it will take some time for me to get there. Senior Bai handed him a jade slip. Ding. Faction quest, escaped immortals. Difficulty, impossible. Description, report, catch or kill all 4 criminals that escaped from the 9 heavens eternal grotto. Reward? Also, erase a life-saving treasure for you just in case. As long as you have it in your body, it will be able to protect you from any grievous injuries once, even if it was given to you by an immortal. Thank you. Yuan accepted the life-saving treasure, which was a small crystal ball that contained some sort of red liquid within. It. Senior Bai said to him afterward. Yuan raised his eyebrows. This is his first time seeing a life-saving treasure that required consumption. This life-saving treasure is a little different compared to your ordinary life-saving treasure in the way it functions. Normal life-saving treasures will protect you from harm. However, this life-saving treasure will basically give you a second life, but it will not protect you from harm. I understand. Yuan nodded his head before tossing the treasure inside his mouth like it was a monster core. Ding. Phoenix Rebirth Pill? Yuan mumbled in a low voice. Indeed. It was crafted with phoenix blood and many other priceless treasures. There are not many of them out there. Thank you for giving me such a priceless treasure. Yuan immediately bowed to him. Senior Bai smiled and said, consider it a gift for ranking up in the faction. How did you know? Yuan was surprised that he knew about it. Did you forget my identity? I can tell your faction rank the moment I look at you. By the way, speaking about the faction, my friends would like to join the faction as well. Is that possible? Your friends, huh? In order to join the faction they must pass our test, but this test can only be done in the 5th heaven and above. Therefore they must climb to the 5th heaven in order to join. This is a rule that even I cannot do anything about. The reason you were able to join is because of Su Jechi, who is a celestial overlord, allowing her to bend the rules to some extent. I see. I will let them know. Yuan said. Good. Now before I let you go, may I speak with a certain someone in your body? More specifically, the last from the primordial realm. Senior Bai suddenly narrowed his eyes. Yuan's eyes widened with surprise and he asked in a nervous voice, Senior Bai, why do you want to speak with Xiaohua? Calm down, I am not going to harm her. Senior Bai smiled. It's okay, brother Yuan. Xiaohua's voice resounded as she materialized beside him. What do you want from Xiaohua? She asked him with a calm face, yet her heart was beating nervously. After all, Senior Bai could easily kill her if he wished, and she would have no way to defend herself. So you're the exile that has been following my little friend here, huh? Since your surname is Xiao, are you perhaps from the Azura clan? Senior Bai asked her. Chapter 733. Xiaohua's body trembled when she heard the name Azura clan come out of Senior Bai's mouth. You know Xiaohua's family? She asked him. Senior Bai chuckled for a moment before shaking his head. No, I don't personally know them, but who in the 9 heavens hasn't heard of the infamous Azura clan? Everyone born within that family is exceptionally talented, not to mention their heaven-defying physiques that give them an indestructible body. The 9 heavens respected, feared the Azura clan. Young lady, your family was banished to the primordial realm for a reason. Why do you want to set them free? What does your family plan on doing once they return? Senior Bai was well aware of her legacy and its purpose. However, he does not know of Xiaohua or her family's purpose. Xiaohua does not know, she responded to him in a clear voice, indicating that she truly doesn't know her family's plan, nor why she's helping them. Senior Bai narrowed his eyes at Xiaohua before shifting his gaze to Yuan. The primordial realm isn't any better than the 9 heavens grotto, as they both serve the same purpose. However, there is a slight difference between the two. The primordial realm was created to punish those that have wronged, but they are not hopeless. As long as they fulfill the Supreme Heaven's legacy, they may roam the land freely. As for the 9 heavens eternal grotto, once you're inside, it is impossible to come back out unless someone is daring enough to break you out. If the heavens are willing to give your family a second chance, I have no right to interfere with your legacy. However, not everyone shares the same sentiment as me. Some people out there have made it their lifelong mission to prevent those from the primordial realm from regaining their freedom, so it won't be easy. Although you won't meet any of these people right now, once you climb higher, where more people recognize her aura. Her aura? Yuan looked at Xiaohua with raised eyebrows. I don't sense anything unnatural about her aura. Of course you don't. You have never met another exile in your life. Exiles have this unique aura that can be sensed by those with a superior divine sense, which you'll get once you reach Spirit Sovereign. However, knowing you, you'll probably learn it at a much earlier stage, perhaps as a Spirit Emperor. Senior Bai explained. Spirit Sovereigns can only be found in the 5th heaven and above. I hope you'll be ready then, because that is where her legacy truly makes it impossible. Of course you can still choose to leave her. That's what Sujechi would suggest you do. That will never happen. Even if I have to fight the entire world, I won't abandon her. Yuan said with a stern face. Suit yourself. Senior Bai shrugged. Anyways, I have kept you here for long enough. Just remember to keep a lookout for the escaped immortals. If they're not caught soon, they will terrorize the world and many innocent lives will be lost. I will let you know if I encounter them. Yuan nodded. Good. Then I will see you later. Yuan and Xiaohua left the place shortly after. Senior Bai sighed to himself after they left. The Azura clan? They were once respected and admired by the entire 9 heavens. But after their sudden rampage and their affiliation with that person was exposed, they became the most feared family in the 9 heavens. In the entire 9 heavens, there are only a handful of people who wouldn't mind the Azura clan regaining their freedom. Good luck, Yuan. After returning to the myriad of techniques, Yuan sat down with Xiaohua at an empty table. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't need to, Yuan said to her after a moment of silence. Xiaohua bit her lips and said, Xiaohua doesn't know why her family was banished to the primordial realm, and no matter how many times I ask my family, they would not tell me. However, they would always say that they weren't wrong for what they did and that they did not regret their actions even slightly. Yuan smiled and said, if they managed to raise someone like you, I don't doubt that whatever they did, they truly believed in their purpose. They are probably good people that made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes no matter how perfect they may seem. Xiaohua shook her head and said, Xiaohua's family are not good people. They have killed a lot of people and they never smile. I will be the judge of that when we meet them, Yuan said. Xiaohua nodded her head before returning inside his body. Sometime later, Meishio and the others began returning one by one with a technique in their grasp. Both Wang Ming and Wang Bingbing decided to pick a sword technique while Shi Lang picked a spear technique. As for Hong Xiuquan and Li Jinxi, they also picked a technique that benefited their weapon of choice. Of course, they were all heaven-ranked techniques. What did you get? Yuan asked Meishio, who was the last to return. It's a bow technique that was once used by a famous archer who managed to pierce a star with this very technique. At least that's what the description said. All right. Since everyone has their techniques now, let's check out. Thus, they returned back to the first floor to pay for the techniques. All done. You still have 6 free techniques for this year, the young man said after logging in their techniques into the logbook. Thank you. Once everyone had their technique, Yuan and the others left the myriad of techniques. Thanks for the technique, Yuan. I am going to study the hell out of it to show my gratitude, Wang Ming said to him after they left. Don't train too hard. I'm afraid that you'll break something if you train any more than you already are. Yuan smiled. Chapter 734. We're going to practice our techniques at the Cultivator's Haven if they have one here. What are you going to do, Yuan? Want to come with us? Wang Ming asked him sometime later. Sorry, but I have other plans. But if you ever need me, just let me know. Yuan shook his head. All right. Once again, thank you for these techniques. Wait. Before you go, I have one last thing for you. Yuan retrieved another technique and handed it to Wang Ming. This is a heaven-ranked technique called Demon Sealing Strike. It can only be used with a sword, but it will allow you to seal demons if you hit them with this technique. After you learn it, hand it to Wang Bingbing and Li Jinxi so that they can also learn it. Yuan then looked at Hong Xiuquan and continued, I don't have any other demon sealing technique at this moment that works for your type of weapon, but once I find something, I will let you learn it as well. No problem. Hong Xiuquan nodded. Guess I will have to put my own technique on hold for now until I finish learning this demon sealing technique, Wang Ming said. Sometime later, Yuan and Meishio returned to the hotel while the others went to study their new techniques. Alas, the situation with the escaped immortals sound like a pain in the ass. I hope they catch them soon. Yuan sighed once they returned. Escaped immortals? Meishio raised her eyebrows. Well? Yuan proceeded to explain the situation to her. That does sound troublesome. Meishio sighed. Fortunately, it is very unlikely that we will meet them since they're mostly in the upper heavens. Yuan said. Sometime later Meishio asked, "What are we going to do now, Yuan? More specifically, what are your plans?" "I will figure something out tomorrow once Lulu returns." Speaking of Chu Liuxiang, she mentioned something about returning home? Meishio said. Yes, she went back home to speak with her parents. She should return by tonight. Okay. Since there isn't anything else to do, I'll log off for today. Wait, young master. Feng Yuxiang suddenly appeared before him right as he prepared to log off. Feng. Young master, I'd like to request for some of your blood, she said with a solemn expression on her face. Oh? You finally cannot resist your urges? I thought you'd forgotten about it. Yuan smiled at her request. It's not that, young master. After hearing about the escaped immortals, I figured that it would be for the best if I release my curse even if it's just a little. I don't want to be powerless when you need me. Regardless of your reason, if you want my blood, you just need to ask me. I promise to help you remove that curse after all. Yuan extended his hand to her and said, Go ahead. Drink as much as you want. Thank you, young master. Feng Yuxiang grabbed his hand before opening her mouth and putting his finger inside. She then bit a hole in his finger to release blood, but Yuan didn't feel any pain and it felt more like a nibble. Yuan swallowed nervously after watching Feng Yuxiang suck on his finger. This wasn't Feng Yuxiang's first time sucking his blood, and he never had such a reaction before, so why is his body suddenly heating up now? He eventually realized that it was because of Feng Yuxiang's mouth, as the sensation from it reminded him of something else. In order to calm his mind, Yuan began reciting all the array symbols inside his head. About a minute later, Feng Yuxiang opened her mouth and released a satisfied sigh, sounding like someone who just finished chugging down an amazing drink. Her hair began changing colors, becoming fiery red. Her eyes also turned golden, and she stared at Yuan's finger with an allured expression, seemingly not satisfied despite drinking a mouthful of his blood already. You can drink more if you want. Yuan noticed that she wasn't satisfied. No, if I continue, I will surpass Spirit King and be forced to ascend. Feng Yuxiang said. Spirit King? It was at this moment Yuan realized that Feng Yuxiang's aura had skyrocketed from peak Spirit Grandmaster to Spirit King. In fact, her aura is even stronger than Xiao Hua's at this moment. Although I am still nowhere near strong enough to fight immortals, we should be fine for a while. Feng Yuxiang said with a smile. If you need more blood, just let me know. Yuan nodded. I will. Thank you, young master. My shoulders feel a lot lighter now that my curse has been weakened even more. I'm glad to hear that. Yuan and Meishio logged off the game shortly after. She's not back yet? Yuan mumbled in a low voice when he woke up in an empty room. He had gotten so used to waking up with Chu Liuxiang right beside him that it now feels awkward waking up alone. Sometime later, he went downstairs for dinner. Where's Miss Chu? Wang Ming asked Yuan since they would always show up together. She returned to her family temporarily to speak with her parents. Yuan said. She should return later tonight. I see. After dinner, Yuan returned to his room, but he didn't sleep and patiently waited all night for Chu Liuxiang to return. However, Chu Liuxiang never returned from her family. When the sun began rising, Yuan released a low sigh. I really wanted things to be different this time. Why can't parents just let their children decide on their own future? Why must they make things difficult for us? Yuan stood up and left the house without letting anyone know, as he didn't want to worry them, and he began making his way to the upper levels in the Dragon Spiral Mountain with a slight frown on his face. Chapter 735. Although Yuan wasn't sure where he was going, nor where the Chu family was located, he knew that they were in the upper levels of the mountain. After walking for about half an hour, Yuan came across his first building to the Chu family, and he decided to ask the people living there if they knew where the Chu family lived. A maid answered the door a few moments after Yuan knocked on their doors. Hello? How can we help you, young man? Yuan greeted the old woman with a charming smile. Good morning, madam. I'm sorry for disturbing your family so early in the morning. I am supposed to meet a friend in the Chu family's household, but she never told me their location, and I am afraid that I might be late. You want to know where the Chu family is located, is that correct? Yes, if you don't mind telling me. It would be my pleasure to help such a polite and handsome young man. Good news is you're going in the right direction. If you continue following this path, you will reach the Chu family's household 4 buildings down. So if you see the next building, that would be the first building and the Chu family will be on the 4th. I understand. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Yuan bowed to the old woman before continuing his journey. Despite his innocent appearance, he sure has a formidable aura. He must be a powerful cultivator and he is still so young. The Chu family is very lucky to have a friend like him. The old woman mumbled to herself as she returned to cleaning her house. Sometime later, Yuan arrived before a massive gate. This should be the Chu family's household, but I don't see any buildings. Yuan mumbled to himself. After pondering for a moment, Yuan decided to jump the gate and follow the only path available. He normally wouldn't do something like trespassing, but he didn't think the Chu family deserves any respect for what they are doing to Chu Liuxiang. After walking for about an hour, Yuan can finally see a building with his divine sense. Although his divine sense is still limited, he was able to see around 500 meters away, and he could keep it active for almost 2 hours without any rest. Once he noticed the building, Yuan approached it without any hesitation. I am here now. But what should I do now? Yuan began pondering as he came to this place without much of a plan. Should I just bust the door down and let myself in? He wondered. However, he didn't need to spend much time pondering because after standing in front of the Chu family's house for less than a minute, someone opened the door and greeted him outside. A handsome young man walked out of the building and stood a couple of meters away from Yuan. Wow, you really came. You're Yuan, right? The handsome young man asked him. You were expecting me? Yuan raised his eyebrows. No, not exactly. We had a feeling that you might come, but we weren't certain. As for my identity, I am Chu Weiyang, Chu Lixuiyang's elder brother, said the handsome young man. And before Yuan could say anything, Chu Weiyang continued, You're here for my little sister, right? Since you already know, let's not make things difficult. Chu Weiyang shook his head and said, Unfortunately, that's not how things work around here. You may be the famous player Yuan, but your identity has no influence here. My parents have already decided that Chu Liuxiang will be marrying into the Qin family, a rival of ours that we have been fighting for hundreds of years. They figured that it was about time for them to end their hostile relationship with each other with marriage. Luckily, the eldest son of the Qin family has feelings for my little sister, or if this would have been possible. And if you think my parents are going to give up the chance to befriend the Qin family that has been a pain in our butt for the last few centuries, then you know nothing about our Chu family. Yuan coldly snorted after hearing Chu Weiyang's words. So what if I don't know the Chu family? That doesn't matter to me. I didn't come here for the Chu family. I came here for my friend Chu Liuxiang. I also don't give a damn about what the Chu family wants. They have no right to decide who Chu Liuxiang spends her life with. Only Chu Liuxiang can make that decision alone. However, instead of being angry, Chu Weiyang started laughing at Yuan's words. You sure bark loud for a nobody. Chu Liuxiang is not even truly part of the Chu family. She should be grateful for being allowed to live with us. The Chu family gave her everything when she had nothing. We gave her a home, a family, servants, treasures. Many things that will make most people on earth jealous. However, when the Chu family asks her for one thing in return, she has the audacity to refuse. Talk about being ungrateful. Yuan frowned at his words and said, I have met a lot of unreasonable people, but of them were like you. You're special, a special type of unreasonable. If you help someone with the intention of asking for something in return, are you really helping that person? Sounds like to me you're merely taking advantage of someone who needs help. This is exactly why he doesn't ask for compensation when he gives away free stuff, and he most certainly does not expect anyone to return the favor, as it was his decision to help them in the first place. You know what? I have heard enough of your nonsense. If you're not going to give Chu Liuxiang back, I will take her back myself. Yuan said a moment before releasing some of his aura. Chu Weiyang did not have much of a reaction and even smiled. Do you think you're the only spirit master in this world? Ha! Chu Weiyang released his aura, revealing that he was also a spirit master. Chapter 736. Yuan's expression remained nonchalant even after Chu Weiyang released his cultivation aura. Although they were both spirit masters, Yuan was almost an entire realm above Chu Weiyang, who was only a second-level spirit master. Furthermore, with Yuan's godlike talents that allow him to fight those above his own realm, Chu Weiyang was no different than a spirit warrior, even a spirit apprentice in Yuan's eyes. I will give you one last chance to leave this place and forget about Chu Liuxiang. Regardless of your reason, if you cause trouble in our territory, we have the right to kill you. And if you didn't know, allow me to tell you that what you're doing right now has already violated the mountain's rules. You'll be evicted from the mountain the moment we report your intrusion today. Kill me? Unfortunately, I don't think you are capable of doing that, and it's not because you're a reasonable human with morals. As for being evicted from the mountain, who cares, really? Although this place is nice and all, it's only a piece of land. There are countless other places that we can live at. Of course, Chu Liuxiang will also be there with us. Yuan's words wiped the smile off Chu Liang's face really quickly. Whether I can kill you or not, let's put that to the test. Chu Liang retrieved a dagger that he had hidden underneath his clothes and got into an offensive stance. Where's your weapon? He asked Yuan, who stood there casually. I don't need one. I better not hear any excuses when you lose, that is if you're still alive by then. Chu Liang pounced at Yuan after saying his sentence. Yuan immediately used his movement technique to dodge Chu Liang's strikes, and he was doing so effortlessly. What the? I was told that he's blind. There's no way a blind man could move like this, much less dodge my attacks. Chu Liang was someone who took great pride in his fast movement speed, and he hasn't met anyone around his age that could move faster than him. However, when he looked at Yuan's face, his eyes were definitely closed. Is this all you've got? I fought spirit warriors that were stronger than Yuan. Are you really a spirit master? Yuan said in a bored voice as he continued dodging Chu Liang's strikes. Shut the fuck up and fight me properly. Chu Liang shouted at him out of frustration. I will. After I decide how I should deal with you. Yuan said. You arrogant little fuck. Yuan suddenly swung his fist, hitting Chu Liang, who was caught off guard, square in the face. Bang. Chu Liang flew backward until he hit the door to the house, destroying it. However, he didn't stop at the door and continued flying until he was inside the house, which shocked a few of the servants that were working at the entrance. This motherfucker. Chu Liang struggled to get up after being hit, feeling as though he'd been struck in the face by a battering ram, something used to forcefully open doors. And just as he regained his balance, Yuan appeared before him to give him another punch, knocking him back down to the floor. Once Chu Liang fell onto the floor for the second time, Yuan mounted on top of him and began sending a seemingly endless stream of powerful punches to his face. How dare you call yourself her brother? A brother should protect his sister, not harm her. You're a disgrace. Yuan shouted at Chu Liang in an angry voice as he continued to plummet Chu Liang, who could physically feel his own face being flattened, yet his face was so swollen that he was numb to the pain. The young master. Somebody. Help. Stop. A clear voice suddenly resounded right before a leg appeared in front of Yuan, and supporting the leg was a powerful force. However, Yuan did not even flinch at the incoming leg, and he used one of his hands to catch the leg with seemingly no effort. What? Yuan stopped hitting Chu Liang and looked at the person who just intervened to see a handsome man standing there with a surprised look on his face. Who are you? And why are you attacking my little brother? This handsome man asked Yuan with his legs still raised, as he was unable to free himself from Yuan's grasp. So you're his elder brother, huh? Yuan didn't say anything else and swung his arm like a whip, throwing the handsome man across the room. After that, he stood up and looked at Chu Liang's bloodied face. You're lucky. If we were in cultivation online, I wouldn't need to worry about killing you by accident. Take me to Chu Liuxiang or you will end up like your little brother. Yuan said to him in a cold voice. I see. So you're Yuan. The handsome man said as he stood back up and patted his clothes. You're much more terrifying than they give you credit for, Yuan. The handsome man said with a smile. However, if you expect me to bow down to you after what you did to my little bro, then you're... Before Chu Liang's brother could even finish his sentence, Yuan used his movement technique to close their distance. Yuan then extended his arm out and clutched the elder brother's neck with a claw-like hand. I'm not very good at controlling my own strength in this body, especially when I am upset, so you should tell me what I want to know before I accidentally snap your neck. Yuan said to him in a cold voice, and he slowly tightened his grasp on the brother's neck. Where do you think you are? If you dare harm even a single hair. Yuan sighed as he continued to tighten his grasp. Is everybody in the Chu family like this? I must say you guys are very much like Chu Liuxiang in this aspect, your stubbornness, that is. What if Yuan really kills him by accident? Please. Wait. The brother opened his mouth, but just as he was about to speak, another voice resounded. Please release him, young Master Yuan. Upon hearing this familiar voice, Yuan looked at the tall figure standing not far away from them with his divine sense, and he immediately recognized this person to be Sebastian, Chu Liuxiang's butler. That will depend on which side you're on, Sebastian. Yuan said after a moment of silence. Sebastian released a low sigh before speaking. I have always been on the young lattice side since I was assigned as her butler. I also believe that the young lady should be able to decide her own future. However, neither my feelings or beliefs mean a thing, as I am merely a servant for the Chu family, and my job is to obey their orders. That has been my sole purpose since I was born, not to mention my ancestors that have worked for the Chu family since ancient times. Sebastian suddenly changed from a standing position to an aggressive stance, and he continued, "Do you recall our conversation at the Jaded Garden? I know it hasn't been long since then, but I hope you're ready to face the Chu family." Chapter 737. Yuan silently stood there even after Sebastian showed his will to fight. "Do you really intend on fighting me? You're a spirit warrior even weaker than these two. You want win and I don't want to hurt you since you're Chu Luxiang's butler, but that might not be possible if we fight." Yuan said to him. "I also don't want to fight you, but I have been ordered to keep you away from the young lady. If you leave now we won't need to fight," Sebastian said. And he continued, "I am also well aware that I cannot beat you, but at least I can say that I tried to fulfill my mission." Yuan shook his head before tossing the individual in his grasp to the end of the room before facing Sebastian. "Chu Liuxiang? No, Lulu won't be happy if she learns that we fought each other. Are you sure you want to continue?" Yuan slowly approached Sebastian. In response to Yuan's question, Sebastian suddenly rushed forward before launching a fist attack at Yuan. Ha! Yuan watched as Sebastian's fist slowly approached his face. Of course, Sebastian's movement was by no means slow, but in Yuan's view, it was barely moving. Right as Sebastian's fist reached his face, Yuan used one of his hands to block it. After blocking the attack with ease, Yuan tightened his grasp so that Sebastian couldn't run away. "I'm sorry." Yuan suddenly opened his eyelids, revealing his beautiful eyes and its silver iris. Sebastian couldn't help but stare at Yuan's colorless eyes with a dazed face. However, Yuan's eyes suddenly changed colors, turning bright golden. The next moment, Sebastian suddenly realized that his vision had gone dark, yet his consciousness was clearly still awake. Sebastian started hearing a subtle yet domineering roar echoing within his head, and this noise gradually grew louder and louder. Once the noise reached its peak, a massive slit suddenly appeared before Sebastian, almost as though someone had cut the void with a sword. After seeing this beastly eye, Sebastian began to tremble uncontrollably while an intense sense of fear filled his mind. Sebastian's real body suddenly went limp after being exposed to Yuan's dragon's gaze for only a few seconds. Yuan closed his eyes when this happened, and he gently laid Sebastian's body onto the floor afterward. "So I can use dragon's gaze even though I am still blind," Yuan thought to himself as he left the scene after making sure Sebastian was still alive and wasn't harmed too badly by the dragon's gaze. After what happened at the Jaded Garden, Yuan realized that he needed to learn more powerful techniques, so he tried to learn all of the techniques he knew from. However, he's already learned most of the weaker techniques from, leaving him with mostly extremely strong attacks. The heavenly splitting sword strike was simply too powerful for him to use in this world, and a single mistake could easily change the landscape. This left him with either heavenly domain or dragon's gaze, and he ended up trying to learn dragon's gaze because he was curious if he could use it despite being blind. As for the technique Relentless Dragon Overwhelms the Nine Heavens, he couldn't learn it at that time because he still hasn't learned the technique in Cultivation Online, but he already planned on learning it next. After trying for about 2 weeks, Head managed to activate Dragon's Gaze. At least that's what he believed because his eyes had the same burning sensation that he felt whenever he used Dragon's Gaze in Cultivation Online. However, he couldn't test whether it truly works or not because he didn't want to use Dragon's Gaze on Meishio or the others, so he waited for the perfect moment to test out the Dragon's Gaze, and he found that moment with Sebastian, who he didn't want to physically harm, so he could only try using Dragon's Gaze on him to take him out of the fight mentally. Yuan wandered the Chu family's residence for the next couple of minutes until he ran into someone, as he had no idea where to go in such a massive place. He eventually encountered a young maid, who was quietly dusting furniture in the hallway while humming to herself in a cheerful manner, seemingly in her own world and unaware of the chaos. "Excuse me, do you know where I can find Chu Liuxiang?" Yuan asked her. "It's him? Are you perhaps young Master Qin? I thought your visit was scheduled for next week." The young maid mistook Yuan as someone from the Qin family. "Oh, the schedule changed." Yuan decided to play along with her. "Is that so? Anyways, you should be able to find the young lady in her garden," she then said. "The garden?" Yuan raised his eyebrows. "Oh, I'm sorry. This is your first time here, right? Please follow me. I will take you there." "Thank you." Yuan nodded and began following this young maid. "Yuan? He should be coming soon to take me away from this place just like Head promised, right? I only hope that nobody gets hurt over this. She sighed. She turned to look at the beautiful woman that was silently cultivating on top of her immortal cave. Master, did my parents ask you to babysit me? Senior Chi responded without opening her eyes. No, I am here to deal with your little lover because your parents are expecting his presence soon. What? You're going to fight Yuan? You can't do that, Master. Chu Liuxiang exclaimed. Why not? Senior Chi asked in a calm voice. It's for your own good. Chu Liuxiang responded in a low voice. Senior Chi finally opened her eyes, and she turned to look at Chu Liuxiang with a narrowed gaze. You think I won't be able to defeat him? She asked in a cold voice. Chapter 738. It hasn't even been a year since I stopped beating you and you have already forgotten what I am capable of? Want me to remind you? Senior Chi said as she stared daggers at Chu Liuxiang. That's not it, Master. I am well aware of your capabilities, but compared to Yuan, I don't want to call him a monster, but if you have seen what he's capable of, you'll understand my feelings. As if I'd lose to some 18-year-old who only recently regained his ability to move. Senior Chi coldly snorted. But Master, you're not that much older than him yourself. And Yuan, he defeated a demon by himself. Chu Liuxiang said with a bittersweet smile. Wait, what did you just say? Senior Chi's face suddenly became serious. Why, you're only 25 years old, which isn't that much older than Yuan. Or am I wrong? Chu Liuxiang swallowed nervously when she saw how Senior Chi's expression changed, and she wondered if it was because she had mentioned her age. Not that. You said that Head defeated a demon by himself? I thought he merely assisted the 6 spiritual families? That's what they said. Senior Chi said. In order to keep Yuan away from the spotlight, the 6 spiritual families told the world that Yuan had only assisted them in defeating the demon. In truth, Yuan had defeated the demon by himself, but only very few individuals are aware of this fact. All right. The 6 spiritual families changed the story a bit to help Yuan since they knew he didn't like to be in the spotlight. But it's true. Yuan fought the demon from beginning to end by himself without any help. Chu Liuxiang revealed the truth. Are you okay, Master? I am. Just as Senior Chi opened her mouth, a loud voice suddenly resounded. Lul, are you here? I am here to take you back as promised. Yuan's voice echoed in the garden. Yuan? Chu Liuxiang immediately stood up and looked around with an excited expression on her face. Yuan, I am here. She shouted back. And hearing Chu Liuxiang's voice respond, Yuan immediately rushed in the direction her voice came from. Yuan? He's not young Master Qin? The young maid stood there with a dazed look on her face when she realized that she'd screwed up. After standing there for a few moments, she turned around and ran away from the scene while silently praying to herself, hoping that nobody saw her together with Yuan. Lul, are you okay? Are you hurt? Yuan immediately asked her. Chu Liuxiang vigorously shook her head out of excitement. No, I am okay. What about you? Are you hurt? What happened to my family? Well, I encountered your brother Chu Wuyang as well as his elder brother. And Sebastian. My brothers and Sebastian? Did something happen to them? Chu Liuxiang could sense Yuan's nervousness even though they were standing so far away from each other. They stood in my way, so I took them down. Yuan sighed. He took them down? You killed them? Chu Liuxiang's eyes widened with shock. And no. I merely knocked them unconscious. Yuan said, skipping some details such as turning Chu Wuyang's face into a bloody mess and nearly breaking the elder brother's neck. I see. As long as Sebastian is alive, I won't complain. He might have tried to stop you, but it's not because he wanted to. I hope you'll forgive him. I don't care about the other 2. They have always been a pain to deal with. I couldn't care less even if they died. Chu Liuxiang said. I know. Sebastian is only doing his job. Yuan nodded. Ahem. Are you ignoring me on purpose? Senior Chi suddenly cleared her throat, interrupting their reunion. Who are you? Yuan quickly asked. My surname is Chi. Do you recognize it? Senior Chi suddenly asked him, almost as though she was expecting him to recognize her surname for some reason. No, I don't. Should I? Yuan said. Senior Chi turned silent for a moment. I heard from my disciple that you had defeated the demon from the Jaded Garden all by yourself. Is that true? She asked him a moment later. Disciple? So you're Lulu's master? Yuan was surprised to hear this. Answer my question. Did you defeat the demon by yourself? Senior Chi asked again, clearly anxious for an answer. So what if I did? How did you do it? Huh? Why do you care? Yuan found this Senior Chi's behavior to be very suspicious. Because I don't believe you. There's no way a nobody like you can defeat a demon. After all, they're indestructible. They are supreme beings that can only be sealed. Senior Chi exclaimed. You. Yuan was surprised by Senior Chi's knowledge regarding demons. It was almost as though she knew of their existence even before the incident at the Jaded Garden. You. Who are you? Why do you know so much about demons? It was now Yuan's turn to ask such questions. Senior Chi did not respond to his question. Instead, she lifted her hand and pointed her palm towards the Immortal Cave. The next moment, a sword flew out of the Immortal Cave and into her hands. Chi manipulation? She's a spirit grandmaster? Yuan was inwardly shocked when Senior Chi used Chi manipulation. If you defeat me, I will tell you what you want to know. But if I defeat you, you'll tell me everything you know, she said to him while pointing the sword at him in a provocative manner. Very well. Yuan nodded in agreement. Where's your weapon? I don't want to hear any excuses when you lose. Senior Chi then asked. Yuan didn't say anything and raised his arm until it was parallel to the ground. Senior Chi and Chu Liuxiang watched his movements with interest. A large sword that was as tall as Yuan himself suddenly appeared out of thin air the next moment and entered his grasp. The second Yuan tightened his grasp on the sword, his aura skyrocketed, and the sword began vibrating with excitement. That's his sword in cultivation online. How did he? Chu Liuxiang mumbled in a dazed voice when she recognized Yuan's sword, the Empyrean Overlord. Chapter 739. Published at 1st of February 2022 1 o'clock and 11 seconds p.m. Chapter 739. 739 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 739. Sealed, get back, Liuxiang. You'll get in the way. Senior Chi said to Chu Liuxiang, who quickly retreated to the Immortal Cave. Are you ready? She asked Yuan. Whenever you are. He nodded. And without saying another word, Senior Chi rushed towards him, closing their distance almost immediately. Senior Chi swung her sword without using any techniques, only relying on her strength and powerful spiritual energy. Clang. However, Yuan blocked her attack with ease, and he only had one arm on the sword. Senior Chi raised one of her eyebrows in surprise before swinging her sword again with even more strength. Yuan was pushed back a little this time, but he still only needed one arm to defend against the attack. At least you're much stronger than the Chu brothers, Yuan said with a smile on his face. Don't get cocky. The fight is just beginning. The two of them began exchanging blows back and forth for the next few minutes. Let's see how you'll deal with this. The way Senior Chi moved her hands resembled how array masters create arrays, and Yuan wondered if she was going to use arrays. Still. Senior Chi suddenly shouted. What the? Yuan blurted out when his body suddenly stopped moving. I cannot move? No. It feels more like I am being restricted by invisible chains. What kind of technique is this? Yuan wondered to himself, even admiring the technique a little. How do you like my family's secret technique? It's not really effective on humans since it was never meant to be used on them, but this much strength is more than enough to restrict anyone, even a talented spirit master like you. Why Yuan? Your legs. They're turning into stone. Chu Luxiang's voice suddenly resounded, and it was filled with distress. What? Yuan looked at his legs after hearing Chu Luxiang's words and sure enough, his legs had turned into stone. This technique. Yuan was baffled when he saw the petrifying effects, as it was almost the same as his demon sealing techniques. You know demon sealing techniques? Wanting to confirm his suspicions, he decided to ask her. You want me to answer your questions? You'll have to defeat me. However, it doesn't appear that you have defeated me, so I won't tell you anything. Senior Chi said with a smirk on her face. Clearly, she wanted to get back at him for refusing to answer her questions before. Don't think you have already won just because I cannot move. Despite my situation, I can still defeat you whenever I want. Yuan said to her. Is that so? Senior Chi casually walked up to his face and said, And how are you going to do that when half of your body has turned into stone? By now, the petrifying effect had spread all the way to his chest. If you don't hurry up and surrender, your entire body will turn into stone, and when that happens even I cannot revert the damages. That means you'll turn into a stone statue forever. What? That's dangerous, master. Hurry up and release him. Chu Liuxiang exclaimed after hearing Senior Qi's words. However, Yuan remained calm and said, I will win this fight. I don't know where you're getting your confidence, but do you even understand your situation right now? You cannot even lift a finger, much less defeat me. In response to her words, Yuan merely stood there with a calm smile on his face, allowing the petrifying effect to slowly consume his body, not that he could move his body. When the effect reached his neck, Senior Qi frowned and said to him, Do you really intend on dying in such a manner? Is your pride really so valuable that you'd give your life away for it? Being sealed is a fate that's worse than death, you know? Even after your body has completely turned into stone, your body won't immediately die, which means that you'll still be alive until you die of natural causes. When you're sealed, you won't feel hunger or thirst, and your internal organs will be supported by the spiritual energy your body naturally gathers, allowing you to live for many months, even years without any problems. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life in such a miserable state? Hurry up and surrender. Senior Qi tried to convince him to give up. However, Yuan remained silent. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. If you think I am going to free you at the last second so that I won't kill you, then you're overestimating me. I will really let your entire body turn into stone. Don't test me. Senior Qi added. Don't worry, I don't have such thoughts. Yuan said, still with a calm smile on his face. Yuan, what are you doing? What am I going to do if you're sealed forever? Life isn't worth living if you're not here with me. Chu Liuxiang shouted at him with tears flowing down her face. Believe me, Lulu. I won't lose. I promise you that I will defeat her and take you back to the family with me. Yuan said. You better. A few more moments later, Yuan's entire body became stone, turning into a stone statue and looking exactly like the sealed demon in the jaded garden. However, even after being sealed, Yuan still had a smile on his face. This crazy bastard. He really allowed himself to become sealed. I have never met a madman like him before. Senior Qi stared at Yuan's stone face with a dazed expression on her face. Master, if anything happens to him, I will never forgive you. Chu Liuxiang said to her with a deep frown. Senior Qi looked at her and sighed, Calm down. I can make him normal again even though he's fully sealed. I only said that I couldn't just to scare him. In fact, since this technique isn't meant for humans, he will automatically break out of that state in a few days. However, since he dared to defy me, I am going to let him suffer for a few days. Really? Chu Liuxiang mumbled with a dumbfounded look on her face. You really think I am that cruel of a person? Not that, master. I meant the few days part. It's only been a few moments and there are already cracks on him. Chu Liuxiang pointed at Yuan. What? That's impossible. Senior Qi frowned before turning to look at Yuan. Impossible. Senior Qi muttered in a shocked voice when she saw that Yuan's seal was really weakening with cracks already. However, she couldn't comprehend how that was possible. Even if he's a spirit master, he shouldn't be able to break out of my seal this quickly. The only way this is possible is if he knows how the technique works. Did he really defeat the demon by himself? But that's even more absurd. The stone on Yuan's face suddenly began falling off, revealing his soft skin once again. When I first encountered the demon at the Jaded Garden, I wondered if there would be any families in this world that could deal with them like the demon sealing clan inside Cultivation Online. Since you can also use demon sealing techniques, I can only assume that you guys actually exist. Or am I wrong? Yuan turned to look at Senior Qi, who stood there with a baffled face. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 740? Published at 8th of February 2022 6:01 and 30 seconds p.m. Chapter 740. Chapter 740. Qi family. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 740. Qi family, who are you really? If you belong to one of us, I should recognize you. However, I don't know you. Senior Qi narrowed her eyes on him. I'm afraid that I cannot answer your question since you haven't defeated me yet. Yuan suddenly pointed his sword at Senior Qi before mumbling in a low voice. Seal. What? Senior Qi's eyes widened with shock when she suddenly lost control over her bodice movements. Impossible. He also knows our technique? Not only did Yuan know her technique, it also appeared to be much stronger than her own, judging by how much quicker the petrifying effect was affecting her body. In just a few seconds, half of Senior Chi's body had turned into stone. However, Senior Chi wasn't panicking. She even showed a confident smile and said, "I'm surprised. To think you knew so much about demon sealing clans and even our techniques. However, you should know that demon sealing techniques do not have any effect on humans. Even if I don't do anything, I will be able to break free from the seal after a few days. If I try, I can break out of it within seconds just like you did. Then let's make a bet. I will give you 10 minutes to break out of the seal. If you cannot do it, then it's my victory and you will have to admit defeat." Yuan suddenly suggested. 10 minutes? Ah. I only need 1 minute to break your seal. Senior Chi laughed out loud. "I will see you in a minute." Senior Chi glared at Yuan until her entire body turned into stone. Chu Liuxiang approached Yuan and asked, "Do you think she will break out of the seal in a minute? You managed to break out of her seal in just a few seconds after all." "Who knows?" Yuan shrugged. "You don't know? Then why did you make a bet with her, even giving her 10 whole minutes? That's not something you do if you're not confident in your own abilities." Chu Liuxiang stared at him with a slightly dumbfounded face. "I am confident, but that doesn't really mean anything. Let's just wait and see then," Chu Liuxiang said, and they proceeded to wait for Senior Chi to break the seal. 1 minute later. "She's late. It's been longer than a minute. Does this mean you win?" Chu Liuxiang said. "I guess so, but let's give her the full 10 minutes. Chu Liuxiang nodded and they continued to wait. 10 minutes later. "I really hope she's still alive," Chu Liuxiang said in a low voice. "She's definitely still alive. I can sense her spiritual energy, and she is still trying to break through the seal even as we speak." Yuan said. "What now? Are you going to release the seal?" To Chu Luxiang's surprise, Yuan shook his head. "No, I will let her suffer a little more. This is what she gets for being so arrogant, and she also wanted to stop me from taking you home." Master does have the tendency to act arrogantly from time to time, but she's not a bad person. She taught me many things ever since I came to the Chu family. I even think of her as an elder sister. "Alright, I will reduce a few hours from her punishment," Yuan said with a smile. Chu Liuxiang also chuckled. "Chu Liuxiang." A cold voice suddenly resounded behind them. When Chu Liuxiang turned around, she could see her parents standing in the distance with many of their guards following behind them. "Stay behind me," Yuan said as he stood in between her and the Chu family. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Where is Senior Chi? I asked her to deal with that bastard. Chu Shijian shouted in an angry voice. Dear, look behind them. Chu Shufan pointed at the stone statue behind Yuan and Chu Liuxiang. Why, you bastard? What have you done to her? Do you have any idea who she is? If you harmed even a single hair on her body, you're a dead man. Chu Shijian roared in a deafening tone. I don't know her, but as you can see for yourself, it's a little too late for that kind of talk. However, you can't blame me. You can only blame yourself, your Chu family, for making me come here. Yuan said with a cold expression on his face. It's over. You have no idea what you've just done. The Chi family will kill all of us once they learn that she had died while within our territory. Chu Shijian mumbled in a fearful voice. The Chu family is one of the biggest families in the world, but that doesn't mean they are fearless. The Chi family is a secret powerhouse that has lived in seclusion for even longer than the 6 spiritual families, and they are one of very few powers that can make the Chu family tremble in fear. Yuan raised his eyebrows. Is the Chi family really that powerful? I guess it makes sense for them to be so powerful since they have to fight demons and all. Yuan thought to himself. The relationship between our families was reaching its peak. They even sent over the most talented genius in their family to our family as a sign of their trust, but you had to ruin everything. Chu Shijian's eyes were bloodshot as of this moment. I didn't plan on killing you even after learning about what you have done to my 2 sons, but I must avenge Senior Chi by taking your life. Hopefully the Chi family won't kill all of us with your sacrifice. Chu Shijian pointed at Yuan and shouted, Bring me his head. The guards behind him immediately rushed forward and surrounded Yuan and Chu Liuxiang. Father. Please wait. There is something. Shut up. If you don't want to die with him, get away from him. Chu Shijian shouted. Senior Chi came here and took you in as her disciple, yet you allowed her to be killed just like that. Even if I don't punish you later, the Chi family will definitely do so. It's alright, Lulu. Stand back. I will handle this. Yuan said to her with a smile. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 741. Published at 8th of February 2022 6:01 and 29 seconds p.m. Chapter 741. Chapter 741. Fighting the Chu family. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 741. Fighting the Chu family. B. But this is all just a misunderstanding. If we let my father know that Senior Chi is actually... No, don't tell him. I have been wondering how I should deal with your parents. This shall be their punishment. Yuan said. Chu Liuxiang looked at him with wide eyes, but she couldn't refute him for some reason. Okay. Try not to get hurt. Chu Liuxiang said to him before leaving his side. The guards there allowed Chu Liuxiang to leave their encirclement without any trouble. Yuan scanned the guards there with his divine sense. Mostly spirit warriors with only 2 spirit masters. I don't need my weapon for this. Not wanting to accidentally kill these people, Yuan stowed the Empyrean overlord. This bastard is underestimating us. The guards there were provoked by Yuan's action even though that wasn't his intention. Get him. There's no need to hold back since the patriarch has asked for his head. The guards began rushing at Yuan the next moment. Seeing this, Yuan used his movement technique to maneuver around them, and because there were so many of them, it actually gave Yuan an advantage, allowing him to confuse them easier. Where did he go? He's right behind you. No, he's over here. Hey, what the? How is he moving this fast? He's not human. The guards were shocked when they realized that they couldn't even follow his movements, much less touch him. Gak. Fuck. Yuan began knocking out these guards one by one, rendering over half of the guards unconscious in mere minutes. Sometime later, after defeating all of the guards, Yuan turned to face Chu Shijian, who was trembling with anger. Are you going to try and kill me next? Yuan asked him in a calm voice. Chu Shijian gritted his teeth. If someone like Senior Chi lost to Yuan, there was no way for him to defeat Yuan. Chu Shufan suddenly tapped his shoulders and said, "Let's get him together." All right. Watch my back. Chu Shijian nodded. Once they were prepared, Chu Shijian and his wife began their attack on Yuan. Taste my force of hell. Chu Shijian's fist suddenly became engulfed in red flames as they flew toward Yuan's face. What a powerful technique. Yuan thought to himself as he used his movement technique to dodge the attack. Chu Shijian's fist exploded with fire right after Yuan dodged it. However, right as Yuan dodged the attack, he noticed that Chu Shufan was already behind him, almost as though she had predicted his movements. Chu Shufan was also in a kicking motion, and before Yuan could react, he was sent flying by Chu Shufan's powerful kick. Yuan. Chu Liuxiang immediately grew nervous. I'm fine. I didn't expect her to read my movement technique. Yuan said as he stood back up without any injuries. How the hell is he still standing after eating my kick like that? That kick had enough force to shatter boulders and bend thick steel. Even if it couldn't kill him, it should have rendered him immobilized, yet he stood up so casually. Chu Shufan appeared to be even more surprised than Yuan from that exchange. If one isn't enough to take him down, give him a few more. Let's do it. Chu Shijian said, and they went for another attack. While Chu Shijian rushed forward, Chu Shufan stayed behind to watch Yuan so that she could read his movement again. If you think I am vulnerable, then you've just made a poor judgment. Chu Shufan didn't even try to run away and decided to face Yuan head-on. Chu Shufan's aura suddenly skyrocketed right before she threw a punch at Yuan. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. However, Yuan wasn't even close enough to be hit by her fist. Despite that, Yuan suddenly stopped running at her and dodged to the side. Whoosh! An invisible force flew right past Yuan after he dodged. Chi manipulation? Yuan frowned when he saw how similar it felt to chi manipulation. No, Lulu also did the same thing before. If I recall correctly, it's called spiritual control. How dare you ignore me? Your head is mine. Chu Shijian had a hidden dagger in his grasp as he went for Yuan's neck. As if I'd fall for the same trick twice. Yuan saw Chu Shijian coming from a mile away because of his divine sense, and he used his movement technique to dodge the strike. Che. What a fucking annoying movement technique. Chu Shijian cursed out loud after failing for the second time to kill Yuan. So you're seriously trying to kill me, huh? Yuan sighed out loud. If he didn't dodge the attack just now, Chu Shijian would have definitely taken his head. As for Chu Shufan, her attack would have also killed him if his body wasn't so strong. Since you're trying to kill me, don't blame me for doing the same. Yuan suddenly opened his eyes and activated Dragon's Gaze, stunning both Chu Shijian and Chu Shufan at the same time. And while they were stunned, he slowly approached them. Since they were no longer capable of fighting, Yuan could do as he pleased with them. Are you really going to kill them? Chu Liuxiang asked him with a nervous look on her face. Do you want me to? Yuan asked her in return. Of course not. Although they may have wronged me this time, it is also true that they have cared for me for the last decade. And I don't want to see you killing people. At least not in the real world. Chu Liuxiang sighed. Yuan smiled. Don't worry, I never planned on killing them. I gain nothing by becoming a murderer. Then what are you going to do to them? Although I won't kill them, I won't forgive them so easily either. Yuan said as he continued to approach Chu Shijian, who was kneeling on the ground with a soulless look on his face. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 742. Published at 8th of February 2022 6:01 and 28 seconds p.m. Chapter 742. Chapter 742. Punishment if audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 742. Punishment. Once Yuan was standing in front of Chu Shijian, he took a deep breath before speaking in a slow but clear voice. Despite all the things you have done, despite my urges, I won't kill you. However, it is a fact that you tried to kill me today, and to make sure that you won't attack me again in the future, I will end your life, as a cultivator. Chu Shijian snapped out of his daze when he heard Yuan's words, but before he could open his mouth and utter a single word, Yuan swung his arm and punched Chu Shijian square in the stomach, shattering his dantian. Cough. Chu Shijian coughed up a mouthful of blood afterward. No, not my cultivation. A horrified look appeared on Chu Shijian's face when he could feel his spiritual energy leaving his dantian before leaving from the pores on his body. What have you done? Chu Shijian snapped at Yuan with a furious face. How dare you cripple my cultivation? Do you have any idea how much time, effort and money I have sacrificed to reach that point? Without my cultivation, the Chu family will be doomed. And this is all your fault. You were prepared to take my life, so I took away your cultivation in return. It's a fair trade if you ask me. At least you get to keep your life. Yuan said. Don't fuck with me. I'd rather you kill me now than live the life of a mortal. Yuan shook his head and said, if you want to die, that's your decision. I already made my decision. Tears began flowing from Chu Shijian's face. Chu Liuxiang swallowed nervously when she saw this scene, as this is her first time seeing Chu Shijian shed such sorrowful tears. Yuan ignored Chu Shijian and turned his focus to Chu Shufan next. When Chu Shijian realized what Yuan was about to do, he stood up and shouted, Why you bastard? You're not satisfied with ruining my life, so you're going to ruin my wife's life as well? Hearing his words, Yuan calmly responded, It wouldn't be fair if I only took your cultivation and not hers. Furthermore, she also tried to kill me. It only makes sense for me to take her cultivation as well. I swear to God, if you dare hurt even a single hair on her body, I will do whatever it takes to make your life miserable before taking your life. You might think that you have defeated the Chu family because you took away my cultivation, but we still have many resources at our disposal, and it will all be used to dispose of you. The place turned dead silent for a good moment until Chu Liuxiang spoke. Yuan, I think you have already punished them enough. Although I wouldn't mind fighting the entire world with you, I cannot say the same about the others. Think about Meishio and the others that will be dragged into this mess if you continue. Father, I will leave the Chu family after today. I wish that I could have left the family in a better manner, but what's done is already done. And despite what happened between us, I don't hate you or the Chu family. In fact, I am feeling grateful to you and the family. After all, you gave me a chance to experience what it feels like to have a family, even if it is not an ordinary family. Now that I am old enough to have my own family, I am going to start one with the person I love, Yuan. After a moment of silence, Chu Liuxiang looked at Senior Qi, who was still sealed, and said, As for Master, Senior Qi is still alive. You can ask her to explain everything to you once she breaks out of that seal in a few days. Chu Liuxiang suddenly went to Yuan and grabbed his hand before mumbling to him, Let's go home now, shall we? I don't want us to miss Mixius breakfast. Hearing her words, Yuan could only nod his head. Okay. Chu Liuxiang and Yuan left the scene shortly after, leaving the Chu family in havoc. Are you okay? Chu Liuxiang asked Yuan as they walked home together. Yes, I'm not hurt. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. I'm not talking about your body, you silly. You did some incredible things today, things that I didn't know you were capable of. If you want to talk about it, I will always be here to listen. I guess I was acting a little different today. I don't know why, but I felt incredibly angry today, yet it wasn't the type of anger that I am used to. Maybe I had released some of my built-up anger for my own family on the Chu family. And he continued, but it's okay. I will be fine since everything has ended now. However, Chu Liuxiang shook her head with a bitter smile and she sighed, unfortunately things are not over yet as much as I want it to be. Huh? What do you mean? Do you think the Chu family will take revenge in the future? Yuan asked her. Yes, but I am not talking about my parents, about Chu Shijian and Chu Shufan. I don't know if I told you this before or not, but my father has multiple wives, and they all control a small portion of the Chu family in other places. The Chu family is simply too big for my father to manage alone, so he made his other wives assist him in managing the family. Although we didn't see any of them today beside my father's main wife, things would have played out very differently if they were there. With that being said, there's a good chance that they'll retaliate because of what you did today. Also, there's more? Yuan was speechless. Of course. Have you forgotten about the Dragon Spiral Mountain? We should start looking for a new place to stay when we get back because we will most likely be evicted for our actions today. Aya? Yuan sighed out loud. Even though I don't mind moving, it kind of hurts that we have to move so soon after moving to this place, not to mention the amount of money we had spent to live here. I will have to apologize to the others once we get back. They also paid for the house after all. I'm sure they'll understand. Chu Liuxiang smiled. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 743, published at 8th of February 2022 6:01 and 27 seconds p.m. Chapter 743. Chapter 743, preparing to move again if audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 743, preparing to move again. By the time Yuan and Chu Liuxiang returned home, everyone except Meishio was already seated at the dining table. Huh? Yuan? Where have you been? Meishio went to look for you in your room just now. Wang Ming said to him when they returned. Sorry, I had some business at the Chu family, Yuan said to them. They'll go find Meishio. You guys can eat first. Yuan and Chu Liuxiang went back to his room to find Meishio knocking on their door. There's no need to knock. We're here, Yuan said to her. Huh? Meishio turned around to see them standing behind her, and Yuan looked a little messy, almost as though had been in a fight recently. What happened to you? She asked. I went to the Chu family to bring her back. Yuan pointed at Chu Liuxiang, who had a bashful smile on her face. It's a little embarrassing, but I had some trouble at home and Yuan came to save me, she said. Well, breakfast is prepared. Meishio didn't know what else to say. Yuan nodded. I will tell you guys about it at the dining table. Let me change my clothes first. Me too. Okay. While Meishio returned to the others, Yuan and Chu Liuxiang changed their clothes before making their way back to the dining room. Everybody there could tell that something was on Yuan's mind when they saw his expression, but nobody said a word until after breakfast was finished. If you have something to say it already. Li Jinsi was the first to speak out. Yuan sighed before nodding his head. All right. This might be a lot, but it's important. Today I went to the Chu family and kind of fought them. You what? Wang Ming exclaimed. They were going to take Lulu away from us and force her to marry some family she doesn't want to be with, so I went there to take her back by force. I fought her parents and crippled her father's cultivation before bringing her back, and because of my actions, there's a good chance that we're going to get evicted from the mountain soon. The entire place turned dead silent as everyone in the room stared at him with gawking faces. Wait. Why don't you start from the beginning and slow down? Shirlang said. Of course, everyone there was shocked by what they heard. None of them could have expected Yuan to invade the Chu family by himself while they were all sleeping. Yuan? Although I am confident in your abilities, nor am I upset that we might be evicted. You should have at least told us that you were going to raid one of the biggest cultivation families in this world. Wang Ming rubbed his temples. The Chu family and the 6 spiritual families have always been on bad terms since forever. They like to live in the spotlight while we prefer living in the shadows. I was really surprised when I found out that Miss Chu was actually from the Chu family. However, now that we belong to the same faction, we have a responsibility to protect each other, so I would have helped you fight the Chu family if you asked. I have to agree with Wang Ming on this one, Yuan. You should have at least told us before doing something so dangerous by yourself. Mei Xiu sighed. I know, but I didn't want to worry you guys. That's not good enough, Yuan. As fellow members of the same faction, we need to share the burden together. That's what separates the good factions from the ordinary ones. Wang Ming said. Although it's already in the past, you need to tell us in advance if you do something crazy again in the future. Wang Bingbing said. Alright, I will let you all know next time. Good. Now what? Should we begin packing since we're going to be moving soon? Wang Ming asked a moment later. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. We don't know if we're really going to be evicted or not. Shirlang said. Are you kidding me? Yuan invaded the Chu family that lives in the upper levels of the mountain. He violated many rules today. It would be a miracle if we don't get kicked out of the mountain. Hell, I am expecting a very expensive compensation fee as well. Wang Ming's right. I violated multiple rules today. The manager will probably visit us by the end of the day to kick us out. Let's pack our stuff and prepare to move out. Yuan said. As for our next home, we'll figure that out afterward. Once again, I am sorry for the trouble. I know we have spent a lot of money to buy this place, so I am going to pay you all back. Nah, you don't have to worry about it. The money was our parents' anyway. Also, it's not like we disapprove of your actions today. We would have even supported you if we knew about it earlier. Wang Ming said. Let's not forget about the heaven-rank techniques we received from you. Those are already worth more than this place. Shirlang smiled. What heaven-rank techniques? Wu Zhao asked as he wasn't at the myriad of techniques with them. We all got a heaven-rank technique from Yuan when we ascended. Wang Ming said. What? You should have told me. I would have ascended sooner if that was the case. Wu Zhao exclaimed. Yuan, I am going to ascend right after we find a new home. Me too. Shimurong said. Okay. Yuan nodded. Everybody returned to their own rooms shortly after and began packing their luggage. Why Yuan? She's here. The manager. Wang Ming went to alert him of the manager's presence. Let's go. Yuan quickly followed Wang Ming to the front of the house. Yuan swallowed nervously when he saw the cold expression on the manager's beautiful face. Good evening, manager. Yuan greeted her with a stiff smile. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip. You can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 744. Published at 8th of February 2022 6:01 and 26 seconds p.m. Chapter 744. Chapter 744. Did you or did you not? If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 744. Did you or did you not? Let's sit down before we have our conversation. The manager ignored his greetings and spoke in a cold voice. Yuan sighed inwardly. He expected this would happen, and he didn't blame the manager for being mad at him for the mess had caused. Yuan led the manager to another room shortly after. However, when the others tried to enter the room with them, the manager stopped them and said, I only need to speak with him. Can you guys wait for me outside? Yuan said to them with a bittersweet smile. Good luck. Wang Ming said to him before leaving them alone. Wang Ming then went to notify the other members of the manager's arrival. She's really here, huh? Do you think she's going to evict us? Who knows? Maybe Yuan will be able to persuade her somehow. Let's play a game and guess the result. While the others played their guessing game, Yuan sat in front of the manager with a nervous look on his face. He didn't feel this nervous even when facing the Chu family, but before this manager he was completely different. I will be asking you a few questions now. You will answer them with either did or did not. I don't want to hear anything else, not even your explanation. Do you understand? I understand. The manager retrieved a long piece of paper and proceeded to ask, Did you or did you not enter the Chu family's territory without permission today? I did. Did you or did you not force your way into their residence today? I did. Did you or did you not beat up Chu Wuyang today? I did. Did you or did you not? The manager continued to confirm everything that he's done today. Did you or did you not cripple Chu Shijian's cultivation today? I did. Yuan could only repeat these two words for the past few minutes, as there was not a single thing that he did not do. Once the questioning ended, the manager neatly folded her paper and proceeded to stare at him with a cold gaze. How long has it been since you moved into the mountain? She asked him. A few weeks now, I guess. So in just a few weeks, you have managed to break almost every rule in the mountain, and it was all done in the same day. This is an unprecedented case. I have never seen someone cause so much trouble in a single day, nor have I seen anyone cause as much trouble as you in the Dragon Spiral Mountain. Sorry? But are you not going to ask me why I did what I did? Yuan asked her. I don't care about that. Regardless of who's right or wrong, if you have any problems with another resident in the Dragon Spiral Mountain, you contact me. Now, what do you think I should do with you? Since I broke the rules, I won't complain even if you decide to evict us. Yuan said with a resolved face, almost as though he had accepted his fate. Indeed, you would be evicted under normal circumstances. The manager quickly said. Under normal circumstances? Yuan raised his eyebrows at her odd choice of words. Is this not a normal circumstance? The manager narrowed her eyes and said, First of all, I would evict you without hesitation if I could. Second, I'm only a manager. Lastly, the one who makes the final decisions is the Lord of the Mountain. So the Lord has decided not to evict us? Yuan couldn't help but feel a little hopeful for his situation. That is not entirely correct. The Lord has decided to not evict you guys, but it is only temporary. He has a request for you, and your faction. If you help him with this request, he will not only allow you to continue living on his mountain, he will even forgive you for today. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Really? That's great. What does he need from us? I don't know. You'll have to speak with him yourself and find out, she said. Speak with him? So I get to meet with the Lord? Yuan did not expect this development at all. Yes, I will meet you in the front tomorrow morning after sunrise. Don't be late or I will evict you guys even if I get punished by the Lord. I won't be late. I promise. Yuan exclaimed. Then I will see you tomorrow. The manager stood up and left the place shortly after without saying anything else. What happened? Are we evicted? Wang Ming and the others asked him after she left. No, we're not evicted yet. Yes. I won this bet. Shi Lang exclaimed before Yuan could even finish his sentence. Really? We're not evicted? Even though you broke all those rules? Wang Ming was in disbelief. He was sure that they would get evicted. Let me finish. Although we're not evicted for now, we can still be evicted. However, the Lord has a request for us, and if we help him fulfill it, he will allow us to continue living here. The Lord of the Mountain? He's a very powerful man since he owns this place, right? If there's something even he cannot do, this request might be very troublesome. Wang Bingbing said. What does he need us to do? Wang Ming then asked. I don't know yet. I will be meeting with the Lord tomorrow for more information. You're going to meet with the Lord? Chu Liuxiang was shocked to hear this. The Lord of the Dragon Spiral Mountain is so mysterious that nobody besides the manager knows his appearance. Although there have been people that met with him before, they were still unable to see his appearance and have only heard his voice. I can't believe you're already getting to meet the Lord when most people that have lived here for decades don't. Chu Liuxiang said in a dumbfounded voice. Well, whatever the Lord wants from us, keep us updated. Wang Ming said. I will. Yuan nodded. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip. You can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 745. Published at 8th of February 2022 6:01 and 25 seconds p.m. Chapter 745. Chapter 745. Indecent Thoughts. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 745. Indecent Thoughts. Good night, darling. Chu Liuxiang snuggled beside Yuan when it was time to sleep. Night. After a moment of silence, Chu Liuxiang spoke again. Can I embrace you while I sleep tonight? Of course. Thank you. Chu Liuxiang wrapped her arms around him and closed her eyes. Despite her urges to strip naked and procreate with Yuan, she did not want to ruin the peaceful moment right now. Furthermore, now that she is no longer with the Chu family, she does not have to rush to make a family with him. Of course, that is not to say her desire to make a family has lowered. In fact, her desire to make a family with Yuan is now more intense than ever after what had done for her today. However, now that she has the time to build a relationship with him properly, she wants to take things slowly and more naturally, which wasn't possible before when she was restricted by the Chu family. Chu Liuxiang quickly fell asleep while hugging Yuan, but Yuan himself was having trouble sleeping. Why is my body reacting like this now? Yuan sighed inwardly as he could feel the area between his legs getting hotter and hotter. Is it because of Lulu? But this hasn't happened before. In this dead silent room, Yuan's sense of smell and touch increased, and with Chu Liuxiang so close to him, he could only focus on her soft body and sweet body aroma. Due to circumstances in the Yu family that forced him to live like a slave, he never had the proper chance to grow up, nor did they teach him anything about puberty. However, now that he's away from the Yu family and is living life normally, his halted growth is finally showing signs of progression. One can say that Yuan is currently going through puberty, and it is progressing faster than normal due to his incarnation's memories, not to mention the fact that he is always surrounded by beautiful women that could easily trigger men's beastly nature. After doing that thing with Meisho, my mind cannot help but have weird thoughts that I never had before. Am I going crazy? Even now, Yuan has this strong desire to touch Chu Luxiang's body for some reason, as well as wanting to do it with her, but he cannot comprehend why he was having such inappropriate thoughts. The sensation of Chu Luxiang's soft skin, the sweet smell her body was emitting, Yuan's urge to touch Chu Liuxiang grew with every second. Fortunately, he has mastered self-control after enduring so much bullshit from the Yu family, allowing him to resist his urges. If it was anybody else in his shoes right now, they would have long submitted to their urges and acted upon his desires. He also tried to cultivate to calm down, but he was unable to clear his mind, so he had to stop. Eventually, Yuan gave up and had to spend the entire night controlling his urges. And just when he was beginning to fall asleep, the digital clock's alarm began beeping, signaling that it was almost sunrise. Is it already morning? I had such a good sleep that it felt so short. How was your sleep? Chu Liuxiang woke up shortly after the alarm, but it was not the noise that woke her up. It was because Yuan had to get out of her embrace to leave the bed. I couldn't sleep, Yuan said with a bittersweet smile. Is it because of what happened yesterday? Don't think too much about it. You did nothing wrong, she said. Although I had a lot of things on my mind that prevented me from sleeping, it wasn't because of what happened yesterday. He shook his head. Oh, then what was on your mind? Chu Liuxiang looked at him with her interest piqued. Don't worry about it. It was mostly random stuff about cultivation online. Yuan did not hesitate to lie. After all, he couldn't tell her that had spent all night trying to resist his urges to touch her. That would definitely weird her out and make him sound like a weirdo. Even if it's insignificant, I want to hear about it. Chu Liuxiang insisted. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Yuan silently faced Chu Liuxiang for a moment before suddenly speaking in a surprised voice. Oh. Look at the time. I need to hurry up or I will be late to meet the Lord. See you later, Lulu. Yuan quickly changed out of his pajamas before rushing out of the room, leaving Chu Liuxiang speechless. Why is he acting so weird? She mumbled to herself before going back to sleep. Many minutes later, Yuan noticed the manager's presence and immediately used divine sense for confirmation. Good morning, manager. Yuan greeted her with a respectful bow. Let's go. The Lord is waiting for you, she said to him before turning around and walking back without stopping. Yuan immediately followed behind her. As they walked to the upper levels, they walked past the Chu family's gates, which gave off a different feeling than yesterday. About an hour later, they arrived at the peak of the mountain, and to Yuan's surprise, there was a thick fog before him that could not be seen even at the upper levels, almost as though this fog had mysteriously appeared the moment they reached the peak. We're almost there. Follow closely behind me or you'll get lost in the clouds, the manager said before walking into the fog that turned out to be clouds. Clouds? Is the mountain even tall enough to reach the clouds? Yuan wondered to himself since he didn't recall the mountain being this tall, and he followed right behind the manager. Upon entering the fog, Yuan sensed a sudden change in the atmosphere, and this sensation gave him a nostalgic feeling for some reason. What is this feeling? It's like I have been here before, Yuan thought to himself as he continued to follow the manager. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 746. Published at 6th of February 2022, 7:57 and 29 seconds p.m. Chapter 746. 746. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 746. Lord of the Dragon Spiral Mountain, why are you just standing there and looking around? There's nothing to see here. How dare you make the Lord wait for you? The manager said to him with a frown on her face. Coming? Yuan stopped looking around and picked up his pace. After walking on this cloudy path for about 10 more minutes, they arrived at the peak of the mountain. The peak of the mountain was surprisingly flat, almost as though someone had cut it with a sword. However, there was a small hill with a cave located in the middle of the mountain, which looked very awkward and out of place, almost like it didn't originally belong there and that someone had moved it there. Where's the Lord? I don't see him here. Yuan said after realizing that the peak of the mountain was empty. He's resting inside the cave over there. Stand in front of it, but do not go inside unless you don't care about your insignificant life, she said. Yuan swallowed nervously before approaching the mountain and standing right before it. However, he was unable to see anything, almost as though there was something interfering with his divine sense. Save your energy. You won't be able to penetrate this cave with your divine sense. A deep voice suddenly resounded from within the cave. Yuan's body shook when he heard this voice that was filled with spiritual energy. This Lord is definitely an expert. His voice alone carries an abundant amount of spiritual energy. Even Xiaohua does not have such powerful spiritual energy. But how is that possible? Spirit Master is already considered the peak for this world, but there could be a couple of hidden spirit grandmasters in this world such as Lulu's master. However, Xiaohua is a spirit king. There's no way someone in our world could surpass that realm. Yuan was greatly shocked and interested at the same time, and his curiosity for this lord has reached its peak. Anyways, I heard you attacked the Chu family. You're very daring for a mere spirit master. The Lord's voice continued. I had good reasons, said Yuan. I don't care about your reasons, nor do I care that you'd attack the Chu family. I only care about one thing, obeying the rules of the mountain. However, you have ignored my rules and acted on your own accord. What do you have to say for yourself? I have no excuses, Yuan said with a straight face. Not even going to put up a fight? How boring. I know what I did was wrong, but I have no regrets. If I had to do it all over again to help my friend, I would not hesitate, even if it means getting evicted from the mountain. There are plenty of other places we can live in this world after all. The Lord remained silent for a good minute before speaking again. Do you know why I called you here today? You have a request for us, right? If we do it, you'll forgive me for invading the Chu family. Yuan said. Yes, that's right. However, that's an easy question. Let's make the next one a little harder. Now try answering this. Do you know why I allowed you to live on my mountain in the first place? Yuan raised his eyebrows at such a question. You're aware that only those that have received my approval can enter this mountain, right? In other words, I picked you. Do you know why I picked you? After pondering for a moment, Yuan responded, because I am Player Yuan? He could only think of his identity as Player Yuan, which has the most influence and significance. Player Yuan? I don't give a fuck about such a pointless alias. There's only one reason why I allowed you on my mountain. You, who has seemingly zero connections to the Demon Sealing clan, have managed to kill a demon. Do you understand the significance behind that achievement? This is about the demon? Yuan was dumbfounded by the situation. He truly didn't expect the demon that had killed would be involved in this conversation. The Qi family is one of 3 ancient families that have served the Demon Sealing clan since ancient times with both experience and profound knowledge about demons, yet the best they can do is seal demons. You, on the other hand, can kill them. You alone are worth more than the entire Qi family. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Yuan was left speechless by the Lord's words, and he wasn't sure where to begin with so much information. Manager, get us the crystal. The Lord suddenly shouted, causing the air to tremble. Yes. The manager left the place for a few minutes before returning while carrying something in her grasp. See that thing is? Yuan's jaw dropped from shock when he saw what the manager was carrying. It was a chunk of crystal that was yellow in color, and there was a hint of red in the center of the crystal. Is that what I think it is? Yuan asked the Lord while silently praying that he would be wrong. Yes, this is a red calamity crystal. It can predict calamities, but it only works when the calamity is influenced by demons. As you can see, this crystal is already yellow with a hint of red. There's going to be another calamity soon, meaning that another demon will be unleashed into this world. There are demons sealed within the Dragon Spiral Mountain, and I want you and your demon sealing faction to deal with the demons. You can either seal them or dispose of them. I personally prefer extermination. Yuan was speechless once again. Who could have expected that the Lord's request for him would be to kill demons? If you accept my request and take care of the demons, I will not only forgive you for breaking the rules, but I will even tell you a little secret regarding this world and my identity. If that's not enough, I can tell you the true purpose of Cultivation Online and why it was created. Cultivation Online's true purpose? Yuan mumbled in a dazed voice. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 747. Published at 6th of February 2022 7:57 and 28 seconds p.m. Chapter 747. 747 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 747. Inside the Dragon Spiral Mountain. So your request for us is to deal with these demons, is that correct? Yuan asked for confirmation. Indeed. Okay, I will take care of them. Yuan nodded his head and agreed to the Lord's request. A dumbfounded noise echoed from the cave, almost as though the Lord was surprised by his response. Is there a problem? Yuan asked. No. I just didn't expect you to agree so easily. This is a demons that we're talking about. Even the Qi family is reluctant to fight with demons unless they absolutely have to. The Lord said. Well, what else am I supposed to say? No, I want help you deal with these demons that could potentially destroy this world. I created the demon sealing faction for a reason. I plan on eradicating every last demon in this world, even if I don't get anything out of it. After a moment of silence, the Lord spoke again. Before you make your decision, I would like you to see something. Manager. Take him inside the mountain. Inside the mountain? Are you sure? The manager appeared to be shaken by his request. He will have to see it eventually since he will be fighting the demons for us, so we might as well let him see the scene and fully understand our situation now. There's no point in delaying this issue. The demons are going to come out of their seal, and I don't trust the Qi family will be able to handle this calamity by themselves. The Lord sighed. I understand. The manager turned to look at Yuan and said, Follow me. Yuan nodded and proceeded to follow the manager, but they did not go the way he had expected. Instead of going back to where they came from, they went to the other side of the mountain, where a hidden path was located. After walking for about half an hour, they arrived before this cave entrance that was emitting an ominous atmosphere. Before we go inside, I must warn you not to touch anything. The manager said to him. I want. He promised. Let's go. They entered the cave a moment later, and after walking for some more, they encountered another entrance, but this one was emitting a menacing aura that would make people reluctant to move forward. After taking a deep breath and swallowing down his nervousness, he followed the manager into the enclosed area on the other side of the entrance. This is. Yuan's body shook violently when he realized what he was seeing in this place, and it left him completely speechless. He could feel multiple emotions flaring up. Shock, worry, fear, distress, dismay, and above all, powerless. Meanwhile, in the Chu family, Senior Qi, who had been sealed for almost an entire day, finally manages to break out of Yuan's seal. She gasped for air after breaking out of her seal, and her body was soaked in cold sweat. That little bastard. How could he humiliate me in such a manner? He actually kept me sealed for so long. Does he not have even a shred of mercy in him? She cried in a low voice. Even though she was sealed, she was fully conscious and awake. It felt like she was in a prolonged sleep paralysis, and no matter what she did, she could not break free from the seal. She became more and more worried as time went on that she would remain sealed forever. As Senior Qi, are you okay? Someone from the Chu family had been stationed there to monitor her condition, and he immediately approached her when he noticed the situation. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. What is the situation now? Where's Yuan and Liuxiang? She shouted in an angry voice. They left yesterday after causing havoc in the family. Yuan even crippled the master's cultivation. The man explained the situation to her. What? He crippled Chu Shijian? How ruthless. Senior Qi trembled in fear after learning of this information, and her thoughts of revenge came to a quick halt. This man is ruthless and dangerous. If I mess with him anymore, he might kill me. Senior Qi believed that if Yuan was capable of leaving her sealed, capable of crippling Chu Shijian, then he was also capable of killing her. Where is Chu Shijian right now? Take me to him. Senior Qi said to the man. Right away. Sometime later, they arrived at Chu Shijian's room, where the owner of the room could be seen lying in bed with a sick and frail appearance, and his wife and children were around him, almost like they were at his deathbed. Senior Qi, thank the heavens that you're fine. Chu Shijian said in a relieved voice after seeing her face. I was worried that you had died, and I have spent all night thinking about how I should relay this news to your family. What about you? You look like you're on your deathbed. Senior Qi said to him. I am fine. Because I suddenly lost all of my cultivation, my body has become frail and pathetic. However, I am not going to die. I should fully recover in a few months. Chu Shijian said. That's good to hear. But what are you going to do now? Are you going to take revenge? Senior Qi asked him. Revenge? Chu Shijian laughed in a low and dispirited voice. After losing my cultivation, I stopped caring about many things, and I realized that I could no longer feel some emotions, almost like I'd lost them as well. What will I achieve with revenge? Am I going to get my cultivation back if I avenge myself? I don't care anymore. Senior Qi was speechless. Is Chu Shijian really going to take this massive slap in the face and do nothing about it? However, she understood his feeling a little. After all, she is also feeling hesitant about taking revenge. I understand. Anyways, I will be returning to my family now. My family has been unable to calm down since the Jade Gardens incident, and they believe that more demons will soon break out of their seal. If you need me, send me a message, but I may not be available anytime soon. Senior Qi said. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 748. Published at 6th of February 2022 7:57 and 27 seconds p.m. Chapter 748. 748 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 748. Demons within the mountain, I understand. I apologize for getting you mixed up in my family's mess, Senior Qi. Chu Shijian said to her. Also, before you leave, please keep the fact that I had lost my cultivation a secret. There are many people out there who wish to see my Chu family fall, and if they learn that I am no longer a cultivator, they will definitely try to destroy my family. You don't have to worry. My lips are sealed. Senior Qi said. Thank you very much. Senior Qi left the place shortly after. Meanwhile, back at Yuan's side, he had been staring at the scene before him for the past few minutes without moving a single muscle. What? Why are there so many demons here? Yuan eventually snapped out of his daze to ask the manager, who was standing beside him with a calm face, as she was clearly used to seeing this scene. After a quick count, Yuan counted 11 sealed demons in this place. When the Lord mentioned demons, Yuan had expected to see 2 or 3 demons, but to think there are almost a dozen demons sealed within the mountain. It was too much for him to take in at once. Why are there so many demons here? Yuan asked. Try guessing. Your guess will be as good as mine. Yuan began to walk around the area, silently inspecting the sealed demons. They don't have any cracks, which is good, and compared to the demon at the Jaded Garden, their pulses are much calmer. Are you done yet? I don't like this place, so I'd prefer it if we can leave quickly. The manager said to him. Yes, we can leave. Yuan nodded. What do you think? How'd you like the scenery? The Lord asked Yuan about his experience inside the cave. Why are there so many demons sealed there? Yuan asked. Who knows? They were already there when I arrived at this mountain. Anyways, after seeing the demons inside the mountain, do you still wish to help us defeat the demons? The Lord asked him again. And without hesitation, Yuan nodded. I do. That's good to hear. Is there anything else you have for me? One last thing. I want you to meet the Qi family and cooperate with them to resolve the situation. The Qi family? Yuan raised his eyebrows. As I mentioned before, they have been dealing with demons since ancient times. I think they will be of help to you. Yuan pondered for a moment. He has been interested in the Qi family ever since he met Senior Qi, and he wondered if they were related to the demon sealing clan in. Where can I meet the Qi family? They live on a remote island somewhere in the middle of the vast sea, away from society. What? Yuan was surprised to hear this information. If you wish to visit them, I can have the manager take you there. However, the Qi family is very strict when it comes to guests, so you should go there alone. I understand. When can we go there? Yuan then asked. I will have to contact the Qi family first, but it should take a week. The Lord said. Okay. I will contact you later. The manager led Yuan back down the mountain shortly after. Why do you wish to kill the demon so badly? The manager suddenly asked him as they descended the mountain. Because if demons exist, innocent people will suffer. I lost a friend to the demon in the Jaded Garden. I will not let that happen again, and in order for me to achieve that, I must exterminate all demons from this world, he said. You know, what you saw today inside the mountain. They might only be a small fraction of the real numbers in this world. There could be hundreds, even thousands of demons sealed around the world. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. I don't care if there's 100 or even 1,000 of them. I will not stop hunting them until all of them are removed. I see. Once they returned to Yuan's residence, the manager returned back to the mountain. Can we trust him? The manager asked the Lord. I believe so. He has a pure aura. Him? A pure aura? I don't believe it. How can someone who had done what he did to the Chu family have a pure aura? I'm sure he has his reasons. Meanwhile, after returning home, Yuan gathered everyone in the living room. Welcome back, Yuan. How did things go with the Lord? Did you figure out what he wants from us? Wang Ming asked him. I will tell you all about it once everyone is here. Once everyone was present, Yuan began recalling his conversation with the Lord. This might sound shocking, but there are demons sealed within this mountain, and the Lord wants us to take care of them. That is the request. What? There are demons on this mountain? Everyone there stared at him with wide eyes. Yes, I saw them with my own eyes, divine sense. There was not 1, not 2, not 3, but 11 demons currently sealed somewhere within the mountain. 11 demons? They exclaimed in a terrified voice. If that happens, the damages will be catastrophic. Humanity might even be in danger. Shi Lang said. Indeed, there's a good chance the world will end if we let these demons roam freely. However, that is not going to happen because we are going to take care of them. This is why I created the demon sealing faction. This is our purpose, to eradicate demons, as I am simply not satisfied with just sealing them. But of us, besides, you know any demon sealing techniques, and I am still trying to learn the one you gave me. How long do we have until they break out of their seal? Wang Ming asked. I don't know. Yuan shook his head. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 749. Published at 6th of February 2022, 7:57 and 26 seconds p.m. Chapter 749. 749. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 749. Technique transmission, and I know not everyone here has a demon sealing technique, but I am working on that. I will be heading to the Qi family next week to speak with them, said Yuan. What? The Qi family? Why are you going there? Chu Liuxiang was shocked to hear this. The Qi family is an ancient family that has vast knowledge on demons, and they could help us deal with them. They are like the demon sealing clan in. I don't think they will be willing to help us, especially not after what you did to the Chu family and Senior Qi. They probably hold a grudge against you now. If they're willing to let the demons run wild because of some petty grudge, then we don't need help from them. However, we won't know that until I meet them. Yuan said. He turned to look at Shimurong and Wu Zhao and continued, Can you two ascend as soon as possible so that we can head to the myriad of techniques? I want to see if they have any demon sealing techniques since that's where I got my demon sealing strike. I will ascend today. Shimurong nodded. I will as well. Wu Zhao said. Good. Then I will see you two at the square later today. I am going to study the demon sealing strike some more. Wang Ming said. Hurry up and learn it already so that I can also study it. Wang Bingbing said to him as she also uses swords. Yeah. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys. We're going to be busy until these demons are dealt with. Yuan said to them. Sometime later, everyone returned to their own rooms to cultivate. By the way, if you want us to learn demon sealing techniques, what about that one technique you used on Senior Qi? You didn't need a weapon to use it, so maybe we can learn it as well. Chu Liuxiang suddenly asked him. I have thought about that as well, but I don't think that's possible. Although I know the technique, I didn't learn it from a technique manual, so I don't know how I can teach it to you guys. Eh? Then how did you learn the technique? Chu Liuxiang raised her eyebrows. Oh, it's complicated. Yuan sighed. After all, it wasn't as though he could say that Head learned the technique from memories of his past life. Maybe there is a technique that will allow you to write down techniques you already know. How else do you explain why there are so many duplicate techniques out there? You're right. I will ask the experts later. Yuan said. Then I am going to cultivate inside. I still have a lot of catching up to do. Chu Liuxiang said. I will come with you. Yuan nodded. They logged into a little later. As for Meishio, she decided to continue cultivating in the real world. Feng Xiaohua, I have a question. Yuan called the experts out when he logged on. What do you need help with? Feng Yuxiang asked. Are there any methods to teach techniques you know to someone else? He asked them. You want to teach someone your techniques? They looked at him with raised eyebrows. Yes, but I don't know how. Well, there are two ways you can teach someone your technique. One, you can write down your technique and give it to them, or you can directly send the technique into their head. Of course, they are both techniques that you need to learn yourself. I figured. Hopefully, the myriad of techniques have these tech. Before Yuan could even finish his sentence, Xiaohua extended her arm at him, and she was holding onto a manual. Here you go, brother Yuan. This technique will allow you to give techniques to others directly. Yuan immediately smiled. Thank you, Xiaohua. Feng Yuxiang silently stared at Yuan for a few moments before opening her mouth to speak. Young master, can I say a few things? Go ahead. I don't know why you want to give your techniques to someone or who you plan on giving them to, but I highly discourage such actions. Your techniques are all incredibly valuable and they should not be taught to others. Yuan smiled and said, I know, Feng. I'm not giving away my techniques to just anyone. They are my friends and I am only teaching them demon sealing techniques. Oh, if that's the case, then you don't have to mind me. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Yuan began studying the technique Xiaohua gave him. Technique transmission. This is actually a divine rank technique? Yuan was surprised to see this sort of technique having such a high rank. After spending a couple of hours studying the technique, Yuan managed to learn it. Technique transmission. Rank, divine. Description. Allows you to transmit any learned techniques below divine rank to others. After learning the technique, Yuan went to seek for Chu Liuxiang. Lulu, I want to try transferring this technique to you. Okay. Yuan proceeded to activate the technique and tapped on Chu Liuxiang's forehead with his finger that was glowing a subtle light. The next moment, Chu Liuxiang could feel information entering her head. Wow, there's a lot of information flowing inside my head. Is this the technique you used on Senior Qi? Chu Liuxiang asked after receiving the technique. Yes, how is it? I'm surprised it's only an Earth-rank technique. It looked so powerful. Not really. They can be used to seal demons, but it's not as effective as the demon sealing strike. I guess it's like a basic demon sealing technique for beginners. I see. That makes more sense. And she continued, I guess I will have to put my other techniques on hold for now so that I can learn this one first. Okay. Good luck. I will go meet up with the other two and head to the myriad of techniques. I should be back by tonight. Yuan nodded. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 750. Published at 6th of February 2022 7:57 and 25 seconds p.m. Chapter 750. 750 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 750. Demon Sealing Clan's Grand Library. After transferring the demon sealing technique to Chu Liuxiang, Yuan went to the square to meet up with Shimurong and Wu Zhao so they could also receive a heaven-rank technique. Are you guys ready? Yuan asked them. Yes. While they walked, Yuan said to Shimurong, you have the same name as someone I know in. A dragon. Yuan said with a smile. I mean, it isn't that weird for people to share the same name. Wu Zhao said. I guess so. Sometime later they arrived at the myriad of techniques. Yuan brought them to the 4th floor after they had their destiny examination. You guys can go ahead and look for your desired technique. I will meet you all here in a few hours. Yuan said to them before going off on his own. There aren't any demon sealing techniques on this floor, but maybe I can seek Senior Bai's help. Hopefully he's not busy. However, there was one problem. He didn't know how to contact Senior Bai. Although Senior Bai gave him a jade slip, it was only meant for alerting him about the escaped immortals. Guess I should ask the workers here. Yuan approached the woman working at the desk on the 4th floor and asked her, Hello, do you know how I can contact Senior Bai? The woman looked at him with a dumbfounded face. Senior Bai? He's not someone you can just contact. I know, that's why I am asking you if you know any way to contact him. Yuan said, misunderstanding the woman's words. Look here. Senior Bai is someone with a very distinguished background. I don't know who you are, but you do not qualify to speak with him. Yuan sighed and showed this woman his faction symbol. We're from the same faction, and he's like a mentor to me. Why, you're in the Celestial Overlords? How is that possible? You should be in spirit heaven. The woman exclaimed in a shocked voice. Yuan shrugged. It just happened. Can I speak with Senior Bai now? Just a moment. The woman looked for a jade slip underneath her desk before asking him, Your name? Yuan. Why do you want to speak with him? I would like to ask him about demon sealing techniques. The woman had many questions, but she didn't dare to ask them. Give me a moment. The woman then relayed all of Yuan's information to the jade slip. Senior Bai, there is a person named Yuan who would like to ask you about demon sealing techniques. Now we wait, she said to Yuan afterward. A few minutes later, the jade slip began trembling, and the woman immediately picked it up. Let me speak with him. Senior Bai's voice resounded a moment later. I understand. The woman handed the jade slip to Yuan. Did something happen? Senior Bai asked him. Yes, unfortunately. Yuan sighed. I am currently looking for demon sealing techniques, but I don't know where to acquire them. So your problem is related to demons. Senior Bai mumbled to himself. After a moment of silence, Senior Bai said, All right, I will let you go to that place. You have already learned the demon sealing strike, so there should be no problem if I send you there. Yuan raised his eyebrows at the way Senior Bai mentioned this place, making it sound quite ominous. Where is this place? Yuan asked him. It's a special place within the myriad of techniques that can only be accessed by certain people. The demon sealing clan, you should be familiar with them since you learned their technique, right? Yes, I know the demon sealing clan. Yuan confirmed. In fact, he is technically their founder. This place is located within the myriad of techniques, but it's actually owned by the demon sealing clan, so there are a lot of demon sealing techniques there. That sounds like the place I need to go. How do I get there? I will need to create a portal for you, but that will take some time and I am a little busy right now. Come back tomorrow. I will have it ready by then. I understand. Thank you, Senior Bai. Yuan returned the jade slip to the woman afterward. Thank you for the help. Yuan said to her before turning around and walking away, leaving her speechless. Sometime later, Shimurong and Wu Zhao returned with a technique of their choice. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. They went to pay for the technique shortly after. Thank you for the technique, Yuan. They bowed to him afterward. No need to thank me. Yuan returned to the hotel after Shimurong and Wu Zhao left to study their techniques. I'm going to return to the myriad of techniques tomorrow to acquire some demon sealing techniques. Yuan said to Chu Liuxiang. Do you need me to come with you? It's okay, you can focus on your cultivation. I understand. The following morning, Yuan returned to the myriad of techniques. Welcome back, esteemed guest. The woman on the 4th floor immediately recognized Yuan and greeted him. Good morning. Senior Bai's preparations are ready. Can you leave now? She then asked him. Yes, I am ready to leave. Yuan nodded. Please follow me. The woman stood up and brought Yuan to another room. There's nothing here, Yuan said when he saw the empty room. Please wait a moment while I contact Senior Bai. A few minutes later, a golden portal suddenly appeared in the center of the room. Try not to cause any trouble there, my little friend, Senior Bei's voice resounded in the room afterward. I want, Yuan said with a smile. When you're ready to leave, just go back into the portal you appeared from. I understand. Good luck. After taking a deep breath, Yuan entered this portal and disappeared from the myriad of techniques. Ding. This place is amazing. Yuan mumbled in a dazed voice after seeing the scenery before him. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 751. After being transported to the Demon Sealing Clan's Grand Library, Yuan looked around with a look of awe on his face. Despite the place being titled a library, the atmosphere and scenery looked nothing like a library. The floor was made out of clouds and the sky was pure golden, giving the place a heavenly and divine atmosphere, almost as though the place was created for celestial beings. There was a massive building a few hundred meters away from him, and it gave off an exquisite feeling, just like an emperor's royal residence. It was also quite populated in this place with numerous people of all ages walking in and out of the building, and most of them were wearing similar outfits. However, when Yuan tried to look at their cultivation, he was shocked to realize that he was unable to see the majority of their cultivation. These people were clearly cultivators, but if he couldn't see their cultivation, it simply meant that they were all at a level that far exceeded Yuan's own cultivation, hence why he could not see them. Although these cultivators are probably not at Miss Su or Senior Bei's level, they are definitely some of the most powerful cultivators that I have encountered yet. Yuan thought to himself. Once he had enough of the scenery, Yuan began approaching the building in the distance. However, he was stopped at the entrance by a middle-aged man. Hey, you, stop right there. Yuan halted his movements and turned to look at the man. I don't sense a badge on you. How'd you get in here? The man asked him. Oh, Senior Bai sent me here. Yuan quickly responded. Senior Bai. The man appeared to be surprised by his response. Well, even if Senior Bai sent you here, I cannot allow you to enter the building without a badge. The man said after a moment of silence. And he continued, however, you can receive a badge by proving that you are associated with the Demon Sealing Clan. How do I prove myself? Yuan asked. You must prove to me that you know at least one demon sealing technique, he said. Okay. Yuan summoned his Empyrean overlord and proceeded to execute the demon sealing strike on the spot. The man's jaw dropped wide open afterward, and he cried inwardly, he not only has a soul weapon, but I have never seen someone execute the demon sealing strike and emit such a powerful demon sealing aura before. While Yuan isn't aware, all demon sealing strikes emit this unique aura, and it is exactly this aura that demons are weak against. If a demon is struck by this demon sealing aura, they will become sealed. With that being said, the demon sealing aura must be strong enough to actually seal the demon. If the aura isn't strong enough, it would only annoy the demon at most without sealing them. As for Yuan's demon sealing aura, it was so powerful that it attracted the people in the surrounding area, and they became even more interested in him after seeing his low cultivation base. How was that? Do I get a badge now? Yuan asked the man. Sure. The man nodded his head with a dumbfounded look on his face. Only an idiot would refuse to give a badge to someone that's brimming with talent as a demon sealer. The man then handed Yuan a black and gold badge that had the words Demon Sealing flawlessly engraved on it. Make sure you bring this the next time you come here. The man said to him. I understand. Thank you. Once he had the badge, Yuan proceeded to make his way into the building. However, shortly after entering the building he was stopped again, and it was by a handsome tall young man this time. Hey junior brother, what's your name? The man asked him. Me? Yuan. My name's Wan Yu and I just had to approach you after seeing your display just now. I almost couldn't believe my eyes when I saw your cultivation. You really impressed me. If you're new here, why don't I show you around? Yuan looked at this handsome man with a suspicious gaze. Wan Yu laughed and said, Don't worry, I am nobody suspicious. Here, look at this. He showed Yuan a badge and continued, I am an official lecturer in this place, and it is my job to guide promising demon sealers such as yourself, hence why I approached you. Seeing the badge, Yuan decided to trust him for now. Okay, thank you. Yuan nodded. Before we start, I must ask you, how long have you been with the Demon Sealing Clan? Well, Yuan began pondering for an appropriate answer. Despite knowing the demon sealing strike, he isn't officially part of the demon sealing clan. I'm quite new, I guess. He eventually said. I see, so you're newer than I thought. Of course, that is perfectly fine. One you said. And he continued, how about your knowledge regarding the demon sealing clan? Not much, to be honest. Yuan didn't want to lie about this since he saw this as a chance to learn more about the demon sealing clan. I understand, then I will guide you as though you just entered the clan. Let's start with, why did you come to the Grand Library today? Did you come to learn demon sealing techniques, or are you here to practice with demons? One you asked him. Excuse me? Practice with demons? Yuan thought he misheard and asked. You didn't know? You can practice fighting against demons here. Of course, they are not real demons but artificial demons, but they have the same abilities and weaknesses as demons, so you will have to seal them in order to defeat them. Do you want to try fighting an artificial demon? One you said to him. I do. Yuan immediately replied. This was a great chance for him to practice fighting against demons before the demons in his world break out of their seals. Chapter 752. All right. Follow me. Wan Yu said to Yuan before taking him to this open area somewhere within the building. In this open area, there were many groups of people standing in different spots watching cultivators attempt to fight the artificial demons. These are artificial demons? Yuan's eyes widened when he saw one of these artificial demons for the first time. They resembled the demons greatly, with red skin, horns, a bloodthirsty face, and even a red crystal embedded in their chest. However, there was one big difference between these artificial demons and real demons. They lacked the bloodthirsty aura that real demons possessed. Instead, they had this overwhelming aura created from spiritual energy to pressure the cultivator fighting it. It appears that all of the artificial demons are occupied. Let's watch them for now. You can also learn something from them. One you said. Okay. Yuan nodded and he watched these cultivators fight the demons. After watching these cultivators for about half an hour, Yuan realized something about these cultivators, that they really sucked at sealing these demons. Despite these cultivators hitting the artificial demons many times with their demon sealing strike, the demons were still able to move and fight back. Why aren't the demons being sealed despite getting struck by demon sealing techniques? Yuan asked Wan Yu. Wan Yu looked at him with raised eyebrows and said, if a demon can be sealed with a single strike, the cultivator fighting that demon would be many levels above the demon. Even the most talented demon sealers of our generation require a couple of strikes before they can seal a demon entirely. Once you strike a demon with a demon sealing strike, the demon sealing aura will slowly build up inside their body, and once there is enough built up, it seals the demon. Yuan didn't know what to make of Wan Ye's words, as had sealed multiple demons stronger than him with a single strike, and even the demon lord that was far stronger than him had succumbed to his demon sealing technique in a single strike, albeit it took a bit for it to take effect. However, there was someone who could seal demons with a single strike. In fact, he could seal 1,000 demons with a single move. Can you guess who it is? Wan Yu suddenly said. Divine Paragon? Yuan answered. That's right. The founder of the demon sealing clan, Divine Paragon. He was not only the most powerful demon sealer during his era, nobody has been able to get close to his power since then, even though millions of years have passed. People say he was created by the heavens to deal with the demons, and that's exactly what he did. The cultivation world used to be terrorized and ruled by demons, but when the Divine Paragon showed up, the demons ran in all directions. Of course, no matter where they ran, the Divine Paragon would chase them until they pretty much became extinct. It's truly unfortunate that the Divine Paragon disappeared without saying a word. Some people still believe that he's still alive somewhere in this boundless universe. Yuan remained silent. If they knew that the Divine Paragon had died and reincarnated, not even the heavens would know how they would react. Sometime later, one of the cultivators there has finally managed to seal the artificial demon. Once that happened, a figure approached the demon to inspect it. Not bad. Your demon sealing aura is quite powerful. This demon will remain sealed for about 500 years. The person said to the cultivator, who appeared to be very happy about his results. Who is that? Yuan asked. He's a fellow lecturer like me. We occasionally come here to watch these junior demon sealers and give them pointers. Wan Yu said. I see. Who wants to go next? The lecturer asked. Here is your chance. Wan Yu said to Yuan, who nodded and stepped forward. I would like to go. The lecturer turned to look at Yuan, and to his surprise, there was a spirit lord in this place. Give me a minute to adjust the difficulty. Do you want to fight a demon at the spirit lord level, or should I make it spirit grandmaster? The lecturer asked him. Can you make it spirit king? Yuan asked him. A spirit king? Everyone there looked at him with wide eyes. Who's this kid? He wants to fight a spirit king demon as a spirit lord? How reckless. He's probably just seeking attention. He won't last a minute. As expected. He's an interesting one. Wan Yu was the only person there that had a smile on his face that didn't give off the feeling of ridicule. Once the lecturer adjusted the artificial demon's cultivation to that of a first-level spirit king, Yuan stepped into the arena to face the demon. Good luck, kiddo. Wan Yu cheered him on. It was at this moment the people there noticed Wan Ye's presence. Greetings, Senior Wan. Everybody there greeted him in a respectful manner. Don't mind me, I'm just here to watch my new friend. Wan Yu said. Friend? That spirit lord? The people there were in disbelief. Meanwhile, Yuan started his fight with the artificial demon. After summoning his Empyrean overlord, Yuan attacked the demon without hesitation. The demon tried to defend itself against Yuan's fierce assault, but it was having trouble doing so, leaving the spectators dazed. They couldn't believe their eyes, that a spirit lord was putting so much pressure on a demon that was an entire realm above him. Even though it was only an artificial demon, it still has the same prowess as a real demon, so realistically speaking, a spirit lord shouldn't be able to push this demon back so far. Even if he can overpower a demon with pure strength, all of his efforts will be pointless if he cannot seal the demon, as they will simply regenerate all of its injuries. One of the spectators there said, which is 100% true. However, Yuan has only been hitting the demon with normal attacks without using any demon sealing techniques, which puzzled the spectators, Wan Yu included. While they didn't expect Yuan to use demon sealing techniques with every strike, it also didn't make any sense for him to not use them at all, and this made the spectators ponder Yuan's thoughts. Chapter 753. Many minutes have passed since Yuan began fighting the artificial demon, yet he continued to use nothing more than basic sword techniques on the demon. This puzzled the spectators as it seemed like Yuan had no intention of sealing the demon for whatever reason. What in heaven's name is he doing? It's been almost 15 minutes, yet he hasn't used a single demon sealing technique. If you're here to play around, then get out. There are others here waiting to practice. Yeah, get out. This isn't the place for you to play around. The cultivators there began getting frustrated at Yuan for purposefully not sealing the demon. They have never seen a demon sealer as obnoxious as him until today. Calm down, everyone. Wan Yu suddenly said to them in a soothing voice, and he continued, as far as I can tell, he's doing exactly what this place is meant to do, to allow you to practice fighting against demons without needing to worry about getting killed. Just because he's not using his demon sealing techniques does not mean he's not practicing. The cultivators there no longer complained about Yuan not using his demon sealing technique, and they decided to watch him for a few minutes before losing interest and going to watch someone else. Half an hour later, pretty much everyone had lost interest in Yuan's practice session besides two people, and they were both lecturers. Fellow Taoist Wan, can you tell me why you're so interested in this young man? Besides his impressive raw strength, I don't see anything else from him that's worthy of your attention. Wan Yu smiled and said, if you'd seen his demon sealing aura, you would understand. Just be patient. It'll be worth the wait. If you say so. The other lecturer nodded. While Yuan was focused on getting combat experience with a demon, a cold voice suddenly resounded, snapping him out of his focus. Are you really even a demon sealer? You're so pathetic. Ah. To Yuan's surprise, the artificial demon had suddenly started speaking when it had been silent since the beginning. Unbeknownst to Yuan, these artificial demons have a function where it will mock the fighter when they cannot seal the demon after a specific amount of time has passed. They do so in order to put more pressure on the fighter by publicly humiliating them in front of others. If you don't hurry up and seal me, I will eat all of your loved ones. Ah. Too bad someone as weak as you won't be able to stop me. You're doomed to watch your loved ones die before me. When Yuan heard the artificial demon's mockery, something had snapped inside him. Shut the hell up. Yuan suddenly jumped forward while his aura exploded with fierceness. This sudden change surprised Wan Yu and the other lecturer. Demon sealing strike. Yuan swung the Empyrean overlord directly at the artificial demon. The artificial demon could feel a powerful demon sealing aura coming from the sword, so it reacted by dodging the strike. However, Yuan's sword suddenly changed direction mid-motion, cleaving the demon's body cleanly in half. Ah, not bad. But you won't be able to defeat me like... The artificial demon suddenly stopped speaking when it realized that its body was already beginning to feel stiff, and this feeling expanded through its body within seconds. When it looked down at its own body, it realized that its regenerative abilities had stopped, and the lower half of its body had already turned into stone completely. The demon slowly lifted its head to look at Yuan, who held a cold expression on his face, and for the next few seconds, they would quietly stare at each other until the rest of the artificial demon was sealed. Heavens! Both Wan Yu and the other lecturer uttered in a dazed voice after witnessing this scene. The other cultivators there had also turned to look at Yuan's area, but nobody there saw the entire thing. When they looked, the demon was already lying on the ground with its body separated in half and the lower half already petrified. However, they were able to watch the rest of the demon being sealed within seconds. What the fuck just happened? What did he do to the artificial demon? Did anyone see it? No, I didn't see it. When I looked, the demon was already sealed. Even though the cultivators there didn't know what happened, they knew that something incredible had happened, as the instructors' faces were filled with awe, not to mention the powerful demon sealing aura that suddenly erupted moments ago, and these cultivators all wished that they'd continued watching Yuan's practice. Such a powerful demon sealing aura. Just who is this young man? And where did you find him? The lecturer beside Wan Yu asked him. I found him at the front of the Grand Library when he displayed the demon sealing strike to get a badge to enter this place, and when I asked him he said that he was new. The lecturer swallowed nervously, and he approached the sealed demon a moment later. After inspecting the artificial demon for a few seconds, he shook his head and said, "This artificial demon can no longer be used. It's been completely destroyed. The seal was too powerful." What? The cultivators there were shocked to hear this information. They have never heard of an artificial demon being sealed to the point where they could no longer function. I'm so sorry. Yuan quickly apologized after realizing the situation. I broke another piece of training equipment. He cried inwardly. It feels like every time he practices on training equipment, it would inevitably break. I will pay for the damages. Yuan said a moment later while inwardly bracing himself to sacrifice an arm and leg. However, the lecturer merely laughed at his words and said while waving his hand, "Don't worry about it, young lad. These things are quite old, so I was already thinking about replacing them." Of course, these artificial demons are maintained every day to make sure they are like new, but the lecturer didn't tell Yuan so that he doesn't feel bad about it. Chapter 754. After Yuan destroyed the artificial demon, the lecturer had someone take away the demon, and since they didn't expect someone to destroy an artificial demon in such a manner, a replacement would not be ready for a few days. Do you mind if I continue practicing with the artificial demons? Yuan suddenly asked the lecturer, leaving him speechless. When Yuan saw the lecturer's perplexed face, he quickly continued, I won't break any more artificial demons, I promise. I won't even use my demon sealing techniques. I just want to become more comfortable when fighting demons. If you say it like that, I cannot refuse. The lecturer nodded. Thank you, senior. Yuan bowed to him before waiting for the next available artificial demon. While he waited, Wan Yu approached him and started a conversation with him. How old are you this year? You look very young. I'm 18 years old. What? You're that young? I truly wasn't expecting that. Wan Yu thought Yuan was older than he appeared, as that is usually the case in the cultivation world, especially in their realm. If you don't mind me asking, which family are you from? Wan Yu then asked. I don't belong to a family. Yuan shook his head. What about a sect? I used to be in a sect, but I am now wandering the 9 heavens with my friends. So you're a rogue cultivator, huh? That's very surprising as well. I thought you would be from some big family or prominent sect. With that being said, if you wish to join the Demon Sealing Grotto, you're more than welcomed. Demon Sealing Grotto? Yuan looked at Wan Yu and asked, what's their relationship with the Demon Sealing Clan? The Demon Sealing Clan came first and was created by the Divine Paragon himself. The Demon Sealing Grotto, however, was created after the founder's disappearance. The two of them basically exist for the same purpose, to deal with the remaining demons in the 9 heavens. However, despite their similar purposes and existence, the two of them are not really that close to each other. In fact, they can even be considered rivals. After the founder's disappearance and the fact that demons are no longer a threat to the 9 heavens and humanity, the demon sealing clan began to decline and grow weaker, yet the clan refused to change and continued their tradition despite the change happening across the world. A few higher-ups were fed up with the demon sealing clan's stubbornness, so they left the demon sealing clan to create their own powerhouse, which is the demon sealing grotto that functions more like a sect than a family, and they brought with them many prominent figures from the demon sealing clan, hurting them even further. However, despite our rivalry, both the demon sealing clan and the demon sealing grotto share the grand library. You can tell us apart from our uniforms. Those wearing black and gold are from the demon sealing clan while those wearing black and red are from the demon sealing grotto. As you can see, I am wearing black and red, so I am from the demon sealing grotto. I'm not sure. Can you give me some time to think about it since all of this is very new to me? Yuan said after a moment of silence. Of course. Take all the time you need. And I am not saying this to blow our own bubbles, but the demon sealing grotto is currently far stronger than the demon sealing clan. If you join us, we will forge you into a top-tier demon sealer. Sometime later, Yuan returned to the stage when there was an opening to fight with an artificial demon. When the spectators saw this, they quickly went to watch Yuan fight the demon, but they became frustrated when Yuan did not use any demon sealing techniques for an entire hour even while being constantly mocked by the artificial demon. However, they did not want to leave, fearing that they might miss the action again. Unfortunately for them, Yuan fought until the end without using a single demon sealing technique. Fuck. He's definitely doing this on purpose. The spectators were fuming by the end. If it weren't for Wan Yu and the other lecturers' presence, these people would have fought Yuan with nothing but their fists. Meanwhile, after he was satisfied with his practice, Yuan returned to Wan Yu and said to him, "I would like to learn some demon sealing techniques now. I came to this place for this very reason as well." "I understand. Follow me." Wan Yu nodded. As they walked, Wan Yu spoke, "Since you're new here, you are only allowed access to very limited techniques. If you want to learn more techniques, you will need to raise your demon sealer rank. You can raise your rank by taking an examination that tests your demon sealing aura and your knowledge of demons. Since you have managed to successfully seal an artificial demon, you're considered an apprentice demon sealer. However, if I take into account your demon sealing aura and your performance today, I would rank you as high as an elite demon sealer, which is 2 ranks above apprentice. Unfortunately, you must take the exam before you can officially be considered as one." Yuan nodded and said, "I will think about the exam later. For now, I will just look at the available techniques." Sometime later, Wan Yu led Yuan inside a large room that had multiple jade tablets placed around the room in an orderly fashion. "What is this place?" Yuan asked. "You will understand once you take a look at the jade tablets," said Wan Yu. Yuan nodded and approached one of the jade tablets. "This technique, demon sealing strike?" To Yuan's surprise, the jade tablet had the demon sealing strike engraved onto it. "That's right. These jade tablets are the techniques, and anyone can learn them as long as they have access to the rooms," Wan Yu said. Yuan didn't say anything else and began looking at all of the jade tablets. Chapter 755. Published at 12th of February 2022 6:18 and 6 seconds AM. Chapter 755. 755. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 755. Demon sealing clans decline. This is also the demon sealing strike? Yuan raised his eyebrows when he saw the second jade tablet. However, when he read the contents, he realized that it was a completely different technique. Although it functions similarly to his demon sealing strike, this technique was meant for daggers instead of the sword. When he realized this, Yuan immediately began studying the technique, as this technique would allow him to seal demons with the starry abyss so that he no longer needed to rely just on swords. A few minutes later, Yuan closed his eyes and digested all of the information from the jade tablet. Ding. Did you just learn that technique? When Wan Yu saw a profound aura suddenly emit from Yuan's body, he realized that Yuan had just comprehended a new technique, but he still asked for confirmation. "I thought you said anyone could learn these techniques." Yuan looked at him with a surprised face, misunderstanding Wan Yu's words. "Yes, you can. I was just surprised at how quickly you learned the technique. You're full of surprises." Wan Yu chuckled. "Oh, I see. Then can I ask you a few more questions?" "Of course. Let me hear them." Wan Yu nodded. "Are there any limitations to how many techniques I can learn from this place?" "Nope. You can learn as many techniques you want. There are no limitations." "Great, then my second question is, Are there any rules about this place that I should know about? Yes, there's a few of them actually. Wan Yu nodded and he continued, First, you are not allowed to share these techniques with outsiders. 2. You are forbidden from selling or trading these techniques even to fellow demon sealers. You must receive permission to teach other demon sealers. As an official lecturer, I am allowed to teach other demon sealers, but I am limited to what I can teach. One last rule you should keep in mind is that these techniques, while they were created to seal demons, they can also seal humans to a certain extent, and if you're caught sealing humans, you will be killed or crippled by the demon sealing clan or the demon sealing grotto. I understand. Yuan nodded. Thankfully he sealed Senior Qi in his own world, not this world. As for the rule that forbids him from sharing these techniques, Yuan will obviously have to ignore this rule in order to teach the others demon sealing techniques. Furthermore, he has already broken the rule more than once. Yuan returned to studying the techniques shortly after, and he wouldn't stop until he learned enough techniques for everyone. Wan Yu was shocked when he saw this. Why in heaven's name does he need to learn this many demon sealing techniques? It's almost like he's learning a technique for every weapon out there. Wan Yu cried inwardly. An hour later, Yuan returned to Wan Yu and said to him, I will be leaving now. Thank you for helping me today. I learned a lot. You're leaving already? I will be back tomorrow to practice some more with the artificial demons. Yuan said. All right. If you ever need any more help and I am here, you can always come to me. Wan Yu nodded. I will. Yuan left the Grand Library shortly after and returned to the hotel. Lulu, I am going to try and cultivate technique transmission in the real world so that I can transfer the techniques to everyone later. Yuan said to her. Okay, I will stay here until dinner then. Thus, Yuan logged off by himself and began trying to learn technique transmission in that world as well. Once it was time for dinner and everyone gathered in the dining room, Yuan told them the news. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. I have acquired a demon sealing technique for everyone here, but I will need a few days to learn a technique that will allow me to transfer the techniques directly into your mind. Although we can do this in cultivation online, I am not really supposed to share these techniques, so I'd rather do it in this world. It might also be a little quicker if we do it this way. That's fine. Take all the time you need, they said to him. The following day, Yuan returned to the Demon Sealing Clan's Grand Library, and he went straight to the area with the artificial demons. There's already people here? Despite arriving shortly after sunrise, all of the artificial demons were already occupied, so Yuan could only wait. While he waited there and watched the others practice, the lecturer from yesterday noticed Yuan and approached him. Young man, I never got your name yesterday. Yuan turned to look at the middle-aged man standing beside him and said, My name's Yuan. Yuan Ha. I am Tang Zheng, an official lecturer here for the past 10 years. I haven't seen you here before until yesterday. How long have you been a demon sealer? Not long. That's perfectly fine. Despite being new, you have a very impressive demon sealing aura, especially for someone at your cultivation base. Do you belong to the Demon Sealing Clan or the Demon Sealing Grotto? Tang Jing asked. I'm not actually officially affiliated with either. Yuan said. I see, so you're from one of the branch families. If you want, I can recruit you into the Demon Sealing Clan right now, unless you've already been recruited by Wan Yu. It would be a pity if that was the case. Pity? Why would it be a pity? Yuan asked with a questioning gaze. As everyone is aware by now, the Demon Sealing Clan is declining. We're currently in our weakest state ever since the clan's creation. At this rate, the Demon Sealing Clan will continue to decline until its inevitable end, hence why we're recruiting any talent we can find. If you join the Demon Sealing Grotto, that's one less talent we have and one more step towards our doom, which is an immense pity since the Demon Sealing Clan is the reason the cultivation world is so peaceful today. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 756. Published at 12th of February 2022 6:18 and 4 seconds AM. Chapter 756. 756. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 756. Legend of the Divine Paragon. Well, although Senior One has indeed offered me to join the Demon Sealing Grotto, I have not decided to join them yet. As for the demon sealing clan, I would also like to think about it some more. Yuan responded to Tang Jing's offer. Of course. Take all the time you need. Tang Jing nodded with a relieved smile on his face. As long as Yuan doesn't accept Wan Ye's offer, he still has a chance to recruit Yuan into the demon sealing clan. And while some might think Tang Zheng was exaggerating the demon sealing clan's situation to trick Yuan into joining them, it is a fact that the clan has been in a straight decline ever since their founder disappeared. As for their reason for decline, it is actually much simpler than one would expect. The demon sealing clan was created for the sole purpose of fighting demons, and after killing or sealing most demons and chasing the rest into hiding, the demon sealing clan became less relevant as they were no longer needed due to the lack of demons. In the end, the downfall of demons was also the downfall of the demon sealing clan. I am the reincarnation of the founder of the demon sealing clan, so I should join them and save them from their ruin. However, I am no longer the divine paragon, and I shouldn't let my past affect my current life. Yuan was in a predicament. On one hand, he wants to help the demon sealing clan that had created in his past life. However, on the other hand, he didn't want to let his past lives to continue affecting his current life, as he fears that he might lose his personality and become someone unrecognizable. After pondering for some time, Yuan temporarily stopped thinking about it to step onto the stage to fight the artificial demon. What's that kid doing? He's not using any demon sealing techniques. Since it was a new day, there would naturally be new people in the area that didn't know about Yuan. Oh, him? He was also here yesterday doing the exact same thing as he is doing right now. I guess he just wants to experience fighting demons without actually sealing them. A waste of our time if you ask me. After all, what's the point of fighting demons if you don't seal them? Someone there recognized Yuan and explained to those asking. Eventually, the artificial demon began mocking Yuan for not being able to seal it. Ah, what's wrong, demon sealer? You can't even seal a fake demon? How will you survive if you encounter a real demon that is far more powerful than a fake? You should give up and just return to being a normal cultivator. Of course, Yuan ignored the artificial demon's taunting and continued to slice its body with the Empyrean Overlord. Once Yuan was satisfied with his workout a few hours later, he stopped fighting the artificial demon. Finally. I thought he was going to stay up there for the entire day. The people there sighed in relief when they noticed that Yuan was finally leaving, allowing them to fight the artificial demon. Tang Zheng, who'd just come back to the area from eating lunch, noticed Yuan and quickly approached him. Yuan, are you free right now? Sort of. What? Yuan asked. I'd like to show you something. Okay. Yuan didn't question Tang Zheng and followed him to another area within the Grand Library, arriving at another empty square shortly after. However, the place was empty in the sense that there was a lot of space in this area, since there were actually a lot of cultivators scattered around this place with most of them seated around this domineering statue. Yuan's eyes widened with surprise when he saw this statue that was located at the center of this empty square, as had seen the face of this statue before, mostly in his dreams. That's the divine paragon? Yuan mumbled in a low voice. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. When Tang Zheng heard it, he smiled and said, That's right. He is the founder of the demon sealing clan and the idol of every demon sealer in existence. Divine Paragon, also known as the Bane of Demons. When I was a young cultivator, I happened to overhear a legend about him, and because of this legend, I decided to become a demon sealer. I never looked back nor have I ever regretted my decision. Do you want to hear it? Sure. Yuan nodded. When demons were still rampaging in the 9 heavens, millions of demons dwelled within this impenetrable stronghold in the demonic realm that was deemed impossible to conquer by all cultivators. However, the divine paragon, all by himself, entered the demonic realm for a total of 66 days. The world thought the divine paragon had died inside the demonic realm, but to everyone's shock, the divine paragon returned from the demonic realm, and that's when everyone learned the truth, that the divine paragon had been killing demons non-stop since he entered the hellhole. In just 2 short months, Head conquered the demonic realm and killed every single demon inside, something everybody had deemed impossible. Nobody has entered the demonic realm since then, as the divine paragon had sealed the demonic realm just in case he missed a few demons. Demon sealers nowadays would have trouble fighting a single demon even in a group, yet the divine paragon had killed millions of demons all by himself in 2 short months. If you ask me what a real demon is, I would, without hesitation, say it's the divine paragon, in a good sense. Yuan was speechless after hearing this legend. No wonder why demons are terrified of him. He's actually more devious than demons. He sighed inwardly. Tang Jing suddenly raised his eyebrows at Yuan, almost as though had realized something. Yuan, now that I look at you closely, you look awfully similar to the Divine Paragon statue over there, almost like you're a younger version of the founder himself. When Yuan heard Tang Zheng's outrageous yet accurate claims, Yuan's body froze, almost as though had been sealed. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 757, published at 12th of February 2022 9:09 and 6 seconds AM. Chapter 757. 757. If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 757. Advanced Demon Sealer Examination. Good heavens, the longer I look at you, the more I get the feeling that you look like the founder. Tang Zheng subconsciously moved his face closer to Yuan's face to get a closer look. Yuan took a few steps back and said in a stiff voice, "You're probably just seeing things." "No. I'm certain. You have such an eerie resemblance to the Divine Paragon. If I didn't know any better, I would say that you're a reincarnation of him." Tang Jing said, unaware that he was 100% correct. "You know what? This could be a sign the heavens have sent us, that you could potentially become the next founder of the Demon Sealing clan. With your talents, it's definitely doable. Yuan, you must join the Demon Sealing clan. You, who bears the founder's face, cannot allow the Demon Sealing clan to disappear." Tang Jing stared at Yuan with eyes full of emotions. He was someone easily influenced when it comes to the Divine Paragon, and with Yuan having so much resemblance to the Divine Paragon, Tang Jing truly believed that Yuan was sent by the heavens to save the declining Demon Sealing clan. "Even if you tell me that Yuan had intentions to join either the Demon Sealing clan or the Demon Sealing Grotto, but he wasn't sure which one he should join. On one hand, the Demon Sealing Grotto is much more powerful than the other option, but on the other hand he had technically created the Demon Sealing clan, so it wouldn't be right to let them disappear." While Yuan pondered, a familiar voice suddenly resounded inside his head, "Join the Demon Sealing clan." Yuan recognized this voice to be the Divine Paragon's voice, and he turned to look at the Divine Paragon statue. In Yuan's eyes, the Divine Paragon statue had turned into a real person and was no longer a statue. "There are secrets within the Demon Sealing clan that only I know of. If you let it disappear, these secrets will also disappear, and there's a good chance that the 9 heavens will return to chaos if you do not return to the demonic realm." Demonic realm? What does that have anything to do with joining the Demon Sealing clan? Yuan frowned. "If you wish to learn the truth, you must enter the demonic realm." "The demonic realm that you sealed?" The Divine Paragon did not respond and returned to being a statue. Yuan sighed out loud and turned to look at Tang Zheng. "Will it be problematic if I join the Demon Sealing clan while already being in a faction?" Yuan asked. "Faction? No, there won't. The Demon Sealing clan is not considered to be a family, a sect, nor a faction, so there shouldn't be any problems." Yuan raised his brows and asked, "If the Demon Sealing clan is not any of these things, what is it?" "Honestly, I'm not too sure either, but the Divine Paragon never considered the Demon Sealing clan to be any of these things. It used to be a place where anyone could join as long as they wanted to fight demons. Things have obviously changed since then, so it resembles a faction more than anything. With that being said, we're not considered a faction, and even if we are considered a faction, there shouldn't be any problem since most factions allow their members to join multiple factions as long as that faction is not an enemy. As for the Demon Sealing Grotto, they are a faction and they have a sect as well." Yuan nodded and said, "Then I will join the Demon Sealing clan, temporarily if you don't mind." "May I ask why only temporarily?" "Just in case I change my mind. I can assure you that you will not regret your decision, but if you insist, that is fine. You can join us temporarily. We don't have any rules that forbid our members from leaving once they join, anyway." "Okay. Now that you are part of our Demon Sealing clan, let's get you your uniforms and badge." Yuan followed Tang Jing to another place, where he would receive 3 sets of uniform and a badge. There's no rule about wearing the uniforms, so you don't have to wear them if you don't want to. As for the badge, it is proof that you are part of the Demon Sealing clan. You will need it if you want to enter any of our establishments. How is this badge any different from the one I received in front of the Grand Library?" Yuan asked. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The Grand Library's badge will only allow you to enter this place, and it just means you're affiliated with the Demon Sealing clan. I see. Anyways, you're currently an apprentice demon sealer, but I have seen you defeat an artificial demon, so you qualify for the next rank. Would you like to take the examination now and become an advanced demon sealer? Tang Jing then asked him. If I become an advanced demon sealer, I will get to learn more demon sealing techniques, right? Yuan asked. That's right. You'll get to learn divine rank demon sealing techniques. Then I will take the examination. Yuan nodded. Great. Follow me. Tang Jing led Yuan back to the area with the artificial demons and said to him, Wait here while I grab 2 more official lecturers to witness in the examination. We need at least 3 lecturers. After Tang Jing left, Yuan spectated the other cultivators while he waited. About 15 minutes later, Tang Jing returned to him with 2 other individuals, an old lady and a beautiful young woman. Tang Jing, you dragged me here for an advanced demon sealer examination during my lunchtime. I really hope it's worth it or you'll regret wasting my time. The beautiful woman said to him as they entered the area. Don't worry, it will definitely be worth it. I dragged you here because I knew how much you both admire the founder. Once you see this young, before Tang Jing could even finish his sentence, the old woman suddenly exclaimed in a shocked voice, Divine Paragon. Sure enough, the old lady noticed Yuan standing in the crowd and mistook him for the Divine Paragon. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Please report us if you find any errors so we can fix it ASAP. Chapter 758. Published at 13th of February 2022 5:18 and 7 seconds p.m. Chapter 758. 758 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 758. Little Founder, what the? Did you just say Divine Paragon? Have you finally gone senile from old age? The beautiful woman raised her eyebrows when she heard the old lattice words. After all, how could the Divine Paragon suddenly appear in the Grand Library? The woman subconsciously turned to look at the direction the old lady was looking at, and to her absolute shock, someone who looked exactly like the Divine Paragon stood in the crowd. As fanatics and admirers of the Divine Paragon, they have engraved every detail of the Divine Paragon into their souls, so they knew right away when they saw Yuan's face that he looked exactly like the Divine Paragon. Wait. Before Tang Jing could even open his mouth properly, the 2 women rushed through the crowd and directly at the unaware Yuan. Yuan, who was minding his own business, suddenly felt 2 aggressive presence behind him, causing him to turn around. When he did, he could see 2 women with glowing eyes running in his direction. Naturally, this startled Yuan, who could only wonder who these women were and why they were running at him. However, before he could even react, the old lady suddenly disappeared from her spot and appeared right beside him like a ghost. What the? Right as Yuan turned to look at the old lady, he suddenly felt someone touch his cheeks, who also turned his head. Wow. You really look like the Divine Paragon. What's your name? And where did you come from, handsome? The beautiful woman asked Yuan as she held his cheeks with her smooth hands, looking like an owner and her dog. Oh, my name's Yuan. He responded in a dazed manner. What in heaven's name do you 2 think you are doing to my new recruit? Tang Jing suddenly appeared to drag them away from Yuan. He then said, I apologize for this, Yuan. They've been longtime admirers of the Divine Paragon, and since you look so similar to him they went crazy. What do you mean he looks similar? He looks exactly like the Divine Paragon, albeit a lot younger. The beautiful woman said. I know that, hence why I brought you 2 here. However, if you're going to bother him, I will find new instructors for his examination. Tang Jing sighed out loud. Why are you being so annoying, Tang Jing? We're not bothering him at all. The old lady cleared her throat before speaking. As for the examination, do we really need to do it? I can tell by his appearance alone that he will easily pass the examination. Senior Fu is right. There's no way that someone with the Divine Paragon's face could fail such an easy exam. The beautiful woman said. Tang Jing rubbed his temples and said, I also know he can pass the examination since I have already seen him seal an artificial demon, but we still need to do an official examination. It will look bad on us if we don't do this. Whatever. The beautiful said before turning to look at Yuan with a friendly smile. My name is Yen Hara. Let's talk more after your examination, handsome. Sure. After winking at Yuan, Yen Hara turned to look at the cultivators that were currently fighting an artificial demon. Hurry up and seal the demon already. If you make the little founder wait too long, I will go up there and seal the demon for you. When the cultivators and the spectators heard Yen Hara's words, they turned to look at them. Little founder? They all focused on Yuan, and sure enough, they could see a strong resemblance of the divine paragon from him. Heavens, why didn't I notice this earlier? He really looks like the divine paragon statue. He looks so much like the founder that I wouldn't doubt it if you told me he was a direct descendant of the founder. What if he is a descendant? That's not possible. They said the founder had no Tao companion. That doesn't mean anything. For all we know, the founder could have found a Tao companion after his disappearance. Fuck. If you say it like that, visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Soon enough, pretty much everybody in the area was talking about Yuan's resemblance to the divine paragon. A few minutes later, one of the cultivators there finally sealed the artificial demon and stepped off the stage. He turned to look at Yuan and smiled. The stage is all yours, little founder. Thank you. Yuan didn't know how he felt about being called little founder. Ignoring their accuracy, it just felt weird. Sometime later, Yuan stepped onto the stage, and all of the spectators in the area gathered around him to watch his examination. Before we begin, allow me to give you the rules. Tang Jing said. And he continued, in order to pass the examination and become an advanced demon sealer, you must seal an artificial demon that is 2 realms below your cultivation base within the time limit, which is 30 minutes. What? Yuan was dumbfounded to hear the passing condition, as it sounded way too easy. 2 realms below my cultivation base within 30 minutes? Why is it so easy? Since he is a spirit lord, his artificial demon, which will be 2 realms lower, will only have the strength of a spirit master. He could seal a demon at this level even in his sleep. Of course, while this examination might be incredibly easy for someone like Yuan, not all demon sealers are as talented as him. While Yuan wouldn't have any trouble fighting demons above his cultivation base, he is an abnormal existence. Meanwhile, normal demon sealers would have trouble with demons even 1 realm below their own cultivation base. Therefore, if they made the examination too hard, nobody would be able to rank up. With that being said, even with an artificial demon 2 realms below the examinee's cultivation base, there are still many cultivators out there that would struggle against it. However, even though the examination was incredibly easy for Yuan, it wasn't as though he was completely free of worries. In fact, he had one major problem regarding this examination. If I hit it with my demon sealing techniques, I will definitely break another artificial demon. What should I do? He sighed inwardly. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 759. Published at 13th of February 2022 5:18 and 6 seconds p.m. Chapter 759. 759 If audio player doesn't work, press stop then play button again. Chapter 759. Advanced Demon Sealer, that's all you need to know for the examination. You may begin now. Tang Jing said to Yuan a moment later. Yuan nodded, but he didn't immediately attack the artificial demon. As for the demon, it also won't attack Yuan until he makes the first move. What are you waiting for, little founder? The examination has already started. Yen Hara said to him. There's a good chance that I will break the artificial demon. Yuan said. It was at this moment that Tang Jing recalled Yuan's prowess yesterday that completely destroyed an artificial demon. Although losing 1 artificial demon isn't a huge loss, they are not cheap either, and if they lose 2 artificial demons back to back in 2 days, the maker of these artificial demons will become annoyed at them. However, before Tang Jing could even say anything, Yen Hara spoke out loud, don't worry about breaking them. They're very durable and have the same regenerative ability as real demons, so no matter how you slice or dice it, you won't break it. Of course, Yen Hara has no idea that Yuan had already destroyed an artificial demon just yesterday. And she continued, even if you somehow manage to break it, we can easily get a replacement, so go ahead and break it. Yuan nodded his head and didn't say anything else. He turned to look at the artificial demon with a calm gaze. I should try out the demon sealing strike for the dagger. With this thought in his mind, Yuan summoned the starry abyss in its invisible mode and used it to attack the demon. An invisible dagger? It is also emitting the aura of a soul weapon. He can actually control 2 soul weapons at once? Tang Zheng was greatly shocked by this new information. He witnessed Yuan's Empyrean overlord yesterday, and the fact that Yuan is using a different soul weapon today could only mean that he has multiple soul weapons, which is incredibly rare even in the upper heavens. Whoosh! The invisible starry abyss flew at the artificial demon and struck it directly between its eyes a split second later. The artificial demon fell to its knees the next second and remained there, which puzzled the spectators as they wondered why the artificial demon wasn't standing back up. However, they would soon get their answer when the artificial demon began turning into stone at a rapid rate. A few seconds later, the artificial demon was completely sealed. What in heaven's name? Everyone there except Tang Zheng was shocked to witness Yuan sealing a demon with a single demon sealing strike. As expected of our little founder, his demon sealing aura is quite ridiculous for someone at his level. Maybe he's really the reincarnation of the divine paragon. Yen Hara mumbled to herself in a low voice. Once Yuan sealed the demon, Senior Fu went to inspect the demon, and to her shock, the artificial demon was completely sealed, including its core, which renders the entire thing useless. All artificial demons have a core that allows it to function and gives them their regenerative ability, and this core was specifically made to resist demon sealing aura so that it doesn't break every time someone seals the demon. However, Yuan's demon sealing aura had somehow managed to penetrate the core's defenses and sealed it alongside the demon. This artificial demon is no longer usable. Senior Fu announced the results to Yen Hara and Tang Zheng, who wasn't surprised at all. As for Yen Hara, she was dumbfounded and amazed at the same time. She has witnessed thousands of examinations, yet this is her first time encountering someone that has managed to destroy an artificial demon so thoroughly. Congratulations on passing your examination, Yuan. You're now officially an advanced demon sealer. Tang Zheng said to him a moment later, breaking the awkward silence. Thank you. Yuan said. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Even though the examination was a little too easy, at least he gets to learn more demon sealing techniques. Come with me, little founder. We're going to get you your new badge. Yen Hara suddenly grabbed Yuan and began pulling him away. Wait for me. Senior Fu quickly followed. Tang Zheng shook his head with a bittersweet smile on his face, and he also followed them. Meanwhile, a new rumor began spreading around the Grand Library. Have you heard? There's a demon sealer who looks exactly like the founder of the demon sealing clan, and he managed to destroy an artificial demon. The divine paragon? It must be an exaggeration. It's not. A lot of people have seen him and they all agreed that he looks just like divine paragon, albeit a lot younger. They even gave him the nickname Little Founder. I won't believe it until I see him with my own eyes. As for destroying an artificial demon, it's not really that impressive if you think about it. The artificial demons in the Grand Library are merely low-quality puppets. Most elite demon sealers can destroy them if they try hard enough. It may not seem impressive because I didn't mention his cultivation. The Little Founder is only a spirit lord, and he just became a demon sealer not long ago. Hell, he just passed his examination and became an advanced demon sealer. What is a spirit lord doing in the Grand Library? And he destroyed an artificial demon as an apprentice demon sealer? Now I definitely don't believe you. Suit yourself. This information is already spreading throughout the demon sealing clan and even the demon sealing grotto. It will only be a matter of time before the higher-ups set their eyes on him. Even though he's already joined the demon sealing clan, it won't stop the demon sealing grotto from trying to snatch him from them, as it has happened multiple times before already. I cannot wait to see where this goes. While news of the Little Founder spread, Yuan received his advanced demon sealer badge. Little Founder, why are you not wearing your uniform? I want to see you in the demon sealing clan's uniform. Hurry up and change. Yen Hara urged him afterward, sounding a little impatient for some reason. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.